He finds himself in a strange place where floating islands cover the sky. Curious, he looks down from the edge of the island he is currently on. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto something in the distance. As he squints to get a better view, he spots a human-like silhouette. A powerful voice echoes out, telling the boy to come, and that the man will be waiting for him at the edge of the abyss. As the strange man's eyes glow with an intense light, the boy is jolted awake from his dream. Panting and covered in sweat, the boy Sora realizes he had that same weird dream again. A voice yells from outside his room that they will be late. As he gets out of bed, Sora thinks that he feels as if he knows the man from his dream and the abyss the man mentioned. He wonders if he has been studying too much lately. As Sora brushes his teeth, his muscular dad exits the shower. His father playfully ruffles his hair and asks if he overslept. Sora complains, telling his dad not to treat him like a kid since he is already 15. His dad responds by flexing his muscular body. Annoyed, Sora tells his father that if they did not live in such a tiny apartment, he would not have to see him naked every day. His dad laughs, promising that when he gets rich, he will buy a big house where Sora and his brother Riku can have their own rooms. Sora remarks that his dad has been saying that for 5 years. His dad replies that life became much easier after Riku joined the self-defense force. Sora muses that it has already been 3 years since his brother joined the SDF, and he plans to join as well in the future. He thinks that when he leaves, he will have to say goodbye to his lively home, his joking and unreliable father, and his strict but loving mother. Just as the family sits down for a meal, their entire apartment building begins to shake violently. They wonder if it is an earthquake. Sora thinks that he had always known this peaceful life would end one day, he just never expected it to end like this. A colossal tower erupts from the ground, piercing the sky and casting a massive shadow over the city. Humanity is now faced with this mysterious tower. Sora is in disbelief. He realizes that the Sora of that time did not yet know how much this event would change the history of mankind as fighter jets are deployed to investigate. But one thing he did know was that this tower was connected to his dreams. Later, the family is on the phone with Riku, who is a member of the SDF. Riku tells them it will be all right, that they just need to follow instructions and he will return home soon. He promises to come back, but his voice is weak and strained. That night is the last time the family is able to contact him. News reports initially said there would be no problems as long as people stayed home. However, it was not long before the broadcast stopped, as more towers began appearing all over the world. A looped radio message begins broadcasting, ordering everyone to evacuate to designated shelters immediately. His mother leaves a letter for Riku, and the family packs their belongings and heads out. Along the way, Sora sees things that hint at a grim reality. Soldiers pass by in vehicles and their faces are etched with despair. Their transports are covered in horrible claw marks, and the stench of decay hangs in the air. Finally, they arrive at a gymnasium serving as a temporary evacuation shelter. The place is packed with silent refugees. It feels as if everyone is simply waiting for their own death. In the midst of this tense silence, one man causes trouble. He grabs a young boy and accuses him of stealing his bread. The boy cries out that he did not, pointing out that everyone was only given one piece and the man probably ate his already. The bully ignores the child and viciously knees him in the stomach. The other refugees turn away, ignoring the situation. The man laughs, snatches the bread, and says that he is not yet full, so it is okay for him to take it. He declares that the boy's bread is now his until this situation is over, and that it is not like the child is going to die from it. The boy begins to cry. Sora's father steps in, placing a hand on the bully's shoulder and asking him why he is doing this. The man tells him to worry about himself, but Sora's dad firmly demands that he return the bread. The bully swings a punch, but Sora's dad effortlessly dodges and lands a swift kick to the bully, knocking him to the floor. Sora's dad hands the bread back to the grateful child. The bully curses at him but is silenced by a single, sharp glare. Clicking his tongue, the man stalks off, promising that he will remember this. Sora calls out to his father, who reassures him not to worry and that he will keep an eye on the guy. Looking at the bully's back, Sora feels a sense of dread. He remembers the man's name, Eiji Kagawa. Eiji was a scumbag who had taken immense pleasure in bullying Sora throughout their school years. Suddenly, a soldier bursts in, delivering an emergency message. He shouts that everyone must exit through the back and get into the trucks immediately. The civilians demand to know why. The soldier states that the information is confidential and that he cannot say. A man in a suit becomes enraged, yelling that they were forced to stay home for 2 days and then evacuated to a place like this, all without any explanation. He angrily asks what they are even paying their taxes for. Just then, loud banging is heard from the main entrance. The soldier's face pales with terror. He yells that the creatures are here and everyone needs to run now. Sora gets a bad feeling and immediately pushes his parents toward the back exit. The soldier tries to hold the door shut, shouting that he cannot stop them for much longer. The doors are violently kicked open. A horde of armored monsters storms in and instantly slaughters the soldier. Their horrific roars drown out the screams of the panicking crowd. Utterly shocked, Sora can only think about what in the world is happening. Sora lags behind as a horde of monsters swarms the shelter. His parents turn, spotting him just as they are about to board a truck. Panic erupts as people scramble to get on the transport trailers. Seeing that the truck is nearly full, Sora yells to his parents that they need to get on first and shoves them aboard. His father grabs his arm, not wanting to leave him behind. Other people in the truck shout that it is already full and that if he is going to mess around, he needs to get off. Realizing they are about to kick his parents off, Sora quickly tells them that he will get on a different truck and runs off. He finds the next truck is already full, as is the one after that. Finally, at the very end of the line, he sees one with space, but someone else jumps on just before he can. As he desperately tries to climb up, a hand is offered to help him. Sora gratefully thanks the person, only to hear a sinister laugh. To his horror, he sees that it is Ig. Sora wonders why, of all people, it had to be him. Ig tells him that he is glad he came on his own. With a cruel grin, Ig throws Sora from the truck, taunting that he should die in his dad's place and calling him trash. As Sora falls to the ground, he thinks it is all over. Panicked civilians trample him and he cries out that he does not want to die yet. Curling into a fetal position, he begs for someone to help him. Suddenly, he sees the silhouette of a person standing over him. It is the man from his dreams. The man's eyes glow as he tells Sora once more that he will be waiting for him at the edge of the abyss. Sora's eyes snap open to an unfamiliar, desolate landscape. He wonders if he was just dreaming and where he is. Without warning, a weapon swings down, landing just inches from his head. He looks up in terror to see the goblin that just tried to kill him. He scrambles to his feet, wondering where his parents are and why he is alone. He fears that he has died and gone to hell. The goblin hurls its axe, grazing Sora's cheek. Sora panics, seeing some debris on the ground, and he desperately runs, asking why the monster will not stop chasing him. He realizes that he has to fight. As the goblin charges, Sora runs toward the rocks, trying to collect his thoughts. He thinks about the tower, Ig, and the mysterious old man. A surge of rage overwhelms him, and he grabs a rock, screaming as he charges at the goblin. The fight is a blur, but somehow he emerges victorious, standing over the defeated creature. He marvels at how it looks like something out of a video game and notices black text on its chest. He wonders if it is a rank, nodding the Roman numeral for 1. The ground begins to shake, and a black crystal emerges from the goblin's chest, turning its bones purple. The crystal floats towards Sora and shoots into his body, filling him with a strange feeling. Purple energy sparks from the cut on his cheek as his wounds magically heal. Not only that, but he feels a surge of strength. He wonders if he leveled up, just like in a game. He picks up the goblin's weapon, thinking there might be more of these creatures on this floating island. He decides to scout the area to avoid getting jumped. After making a full lap, he finds no other monsters or paths. The only way out seems to be through some ruins at the edge of the island, where a set of stairs leads down. Looking down the floating staircase, Sora recognizes the smoky sky islands from his dreams. He feels a sense of dread, thinking that in games, this kind of terrain is prime monster territory. He slowly descends, cautious of an ambush. He knows this is not a game, so there are no respawns. Finally, he reaches the bottom, where the stairs end at a stone archway. He cautiously peers inside, clutching his weapon. Ahead of him, a single torch is lit, illuminating a stone tablet with strange text. Sora notes that he has never seen characters like these before, yet their meaning seems to flow directly into his brain. The inscription explains that the fragments belong to the bearers, and that by acquiring all of them, one shall earn the right to leave the abyss. He realizes that this place is the abyss, and to escape he must collect all the fragments. With a newfound goal, he smiles, feeling motivated. He thinks that the first monster was not even that strong and confidently pushes through the gates to the next layer. He recalls that the first layer was a 900 square meter area, and its monster was marked with a 1. The second layer was 1,800 square meters, with a wolf-like monster bearing the number 2. The third layer was 3,600 square meters, where one of 4 snake-like creatures held the number 3. The fragments are only found in the monsters bearing these numbers, and they are the key to the next layer. The higher the number, the stronger the monster. But what is more concerning is that the area doubles in size each time he ascends, as does the number of monsters. Despite this, Sora grows stronger with each layer, effortlessly taking down even large beasts. As he ascends, the variety of monsters keeps increasing. On the 12th floor, he encounters the same monsters that attacked the shelter, but now they are no match for him. He obliterates them but begins to feel his senses go numb from the endless slaughter. The 13th layer had over 4,000 monsters, the 14th had 16,000, and the 21st had over 1,000,000. By the 30th floor, the number of monsters reaches 500 million. Finding the key-bearing monsters is like finding a needle in a haystack. Some were protected by large groups, while others hid in small caves. The most annoying part was the sheer amount of time it took to kill every single one. No matter what, he kept moving forward. Now on the 42nd layer, he faces over 2 trillion monsters. Sora laughs maniacally, exhilarated by the challenge. He soars through a new floor filled with dragons, remarking that the concept of time no longer matters here. There is only death and massacre. As monsters approach, he massacres them with ease, clearing one floor after another. After killing another beast, he wonders how many he has killed and adds another mark to his wall of tallies. He sighs, thinking it is about time he found the key. Suddenly, the wall explodes, sending debris everywhere. A monstrous centipede appears before him. Sora grins, commenting on its grand entrance, and asks if it is the key. The centipede lunges, but Sora dashes forward, moving at incredible speed. He says that no matter how strong the monster is, it is all the same to him. He effortlessly rips the creature apart, noting that even monsters who think they are strong die in a single hit. At this point, he has become so powerful that strength and time have lost their meaning. Growing frustrated, Sora demands to know where the 42nd layer's key is. He roars for it to come out and fight him, declaring that he has had enough. 20 towers suddenly appeared across the world. Before humanity could understand what they were, monsters poured out, nearly wiping everyone out. That day became known as Judgment Day. A small number of survivors awakened, gaining access to a mysterious system that granted them combat stats and overwhelming power. From the ashes, human society was rebuilt, and the awakened formed hunter guilds. Back in the abyss, Sora chases after a strange wolf, trying to get a closer look. He is surprised to see magical chains wrap around the wolf as he hears someone say that they just used an advanced transfer scroll and that the summon must not go through. Sora realizes the voice is human and sees the wolf being pulled towards a magic circle in the sky. He thinks that this could be his only way out. He crouches down and launches himself toward the ascending wolf. A system warning appears, stating that abyssal summoning is unable to transfer more than 2 living beings. Undeterred, Sora declares that he will not let anyone get in his way and focuses on reaching the wolf. Meanwhile on Earth, a panicked girl with pink hair named Yu Sanazaki runs through a graveyard in high heels. Her foot gets tangled in a vine, causing her to fall. She exclaims that this is bad. Suddenly, a voice is heard complaining about what a pain this is. A group appears with a level 34 druid named Eika and a level 35 swordsman named Choji. Eika tells you to hand over the advanced transfer scroll, saying that a level 60 scroll is not something a level 19 rookie can handle. Choji threatens to show no mercy. A level 38 barbarian named Shosai steps forward. Yu cries out that hunter-on-hunter combat is forbidden and that they are breaking the rules. Shosai laughs, saying that he makes the rules here. He slams his massive sword in front of her, demanding she give them the scroll if she wants to keep her limbs. Cornered, Yu warns them not to push her further. Eika realizes that she is going to use a force summon and shouts for them to stop her. Enraged, Shosai calls her a witch and swings his sword, but she teleports away just in time. Yu declares that if she is going to die, she will drag them down with her and begins to activate the scroll. Eika panics, saying that no one can control a monster summoned this way and that they are all done for. They charge, but it is too late. Lightning strikes from the sky, opening a rift. The group is on edge, sensing the overwhelming energy. As a beam of light shoots down, chains emerge from the ground. However, when the summon finally appears, it is only a level 3 Cerberus. They start laughing, relieved, and toss a bone to the creature, calling it cute. Yu is confused by the weak summon. Suddenly, a hand bursts through the Cerberus and Sora emerges, tearing the monster in half. The group freaks out, calling him a humanoid monster. Yu stares in fear, while Sora roars with laughter, exclaiming that he finally made it out and escaped that wretched place. He continues laughing as the group watches in fear. Shosai trembles, saying that the laughter makes his body freeze. Eika nervously asks who this man is, nodding his incredible pressure. Sora suddenly appears in front of Eika, moving so fast that he leaves behind afterimages. He grabs her shoulders with a crazed smile on his face and asks if this is Earth. She confirms that it is. He sighs in relief, overjoyed to finally be back, and then asks if they are all cosplayers. Angered by the question, Shosai and Choji charge at Sora, telling him not to underestimate the Tiger's Roar Guild. Their weapons shatter upon contact with Sora's back. He turns, his eyes filled with rage. Shosai cries out that Sora is a monster. The word echoes in Sora's mind, and for a moment he sees Shosai as an orc. He grabs him by the throat and demands to see his number. Shosai asks what he is talking about. Snapping back to reality, Sora realizes his mistake and drops him. Shosai screams in terror, having wet himself. The others run to his side, showing that he is their boss. Sora tells them to get lost, and the guild members, along with an extra rogue who is with them, flee. Shosai shouts that he will remember this. Yu thinks to herself that Sora's power is incredible but that his scars look awful. She wonders who he is, realizing that he cannot be a monster summoned by her scroll. Sora asks how many years it has been since the towers appeared. Panicked, she tells him it has been 5 years. He questions her about what the scroll was and why she is dressed so strangely. She explains that ever since the towers appeared, a system was granted to humans. Sora wonders if the world has truly changed so much in the 5 years he spent in the abyss. She tells him that S-City was hit by the seventh large invasion and that she fled from there. Hearing that S-City is his birthplace, he demands to know its current state. She tells him it is completely destroyed but that strong people were sent to fight the monsters. He asks for directions, and after she points the way, he vanishes in a burst of speed. Yu is amazed that he is going alone and decides that she needs to tell her sister about this mysterious man. Elsewhere, the members of the Tiger's Roar Guild are stopped by a cloaked figure that lands in front of them. The figure states that it can sense Sora's presence on them and gives them 3 seconds to reveal his whereabouts. Terrified, Shosai foolishly asks if he is kidding. A moment later, they are all torn to shreds. At the Tiger's Roar Guild headquarters, a woman reports that there are no signs of life from the party of 4, and that Yu and the scroll are still missing. A man, the level 118 Storm Priest, Richt Mukai, shatters his wine glass in anger. He fumes that the men he recommended could not even handle a level 19 summoner and that their signals all went out at the same time, meaning they were killed in one hit. Richt orders his subordinate to find out who did it, to capture Yu and to make her explain herself. He vows to kill anyone who lays a hand on his men. Just then, he spots Sora leaping past his window. He is taken aback by the incredible smell of blood and notes that the man is heading towards a fallen zone. He realizes this invasion is on a completely different scale, with powerful forces at play. He concludes that the tower that has been sleeping for 5 years is finally making its move, and orders all search parties to fall back immediately. Meanwhile, Sora arrives at the ruined S-City. He reflects that in the 5 years he was stuck in the abyss, his home has turned into hell. In the abyss, he who was once weak became strong, numbing his senses to the point where he nearly became a beast himself, even eating the monsters he killed. But the thought of his family kept him going. The monsters he once feared are now nothing more than small fry, and he desperately hopes that his family is safe. He notes that S-City used to buzz with life, but now it is a wasteland. Every building is shredded as if struck by a massive earthquake, yet strangely they are all still standing. He finds no trace of monsters or any signs of death. He remembers that after the evacuation no one was supposed to be here. As he approaches his old home, the door handle comes off in his hand, a testament to his newfound strength. He enters knowing it will be empty but drawn by the happy memories the place holds. On a table he finds a letter. It is from his father. The letter says that even though everyone else thinks Sora is dead, his parents refuse to believe it. They came back to set up his old room just as it was, certain that he would return. Tears stream down Sora's face as he realizes they risked their lives for him. They even laid out his favorite clothes in sizes small to large so that he would have something to wear when he returned. A map to Shelter 6 is in the drawer. They made him promise to find them and signed the letter with a message of love from his mom and dad. Overwhelmed with emotion, he clutches a family photo to his chest, wondering how strong he has become. He cuts his hair, thinking that if he is strong enough to end this apocalypse, he can reclaim the days he lost. With new resolve, he follows the map to Shelter 6. Seeing the wrecked roads, he decides that blazing his own trail will be faster. As he soars through the air, a flying monster attacks him, but he tears it apart with ease. He continues his journey, effortlessly clearing the skis of monsters. Nearby, 2 guards on duty are startled by a loud noise. One dismisses it as the other being drunk, but then something streaks past them. One of the guards manages to capture an image on his camera, revealing Sora flying through the air. Their attention is then drawn to a woman's voice, pleading for people not to come any closer and explaining that she was only looking for food. A group of men surrounds her, remarking that it has been a while since they have seen a woman. One drools, telling her they are good guys who will take good care of her. She begs them to stop as they close in, one telling her not to be scared because he will be gentle. He says it would be a shame not to enjoy a body like hers and reaches for her. Sora appears, calling them trash. They threaten him for interfering and charge. With sheer wind pressure, Sora sends them flying. He dodges a sword attack with minimal effort, grabbing the man's arm and kneeing him in the face. The molester demands to know who he is and proudly declares that he is part of the Tiger's Roar Guild. Sora recognizes the man as Ig. Sora coldly asks if Ig has forgotten the face of the boy he killed. Terrified, Ig realizes who he is and crawls away, stuttering that it is impossible. As Sora unleashes his immense pressure, Ig pleads for him to stay back. Sora laughs and grabs him by the throat, telling Ig that it is true. He says that he crawled his way up from the pits of hell because of him, and now it is Ig's turn to go there. Sora digs his fingers into Ig's throat, vowing to tear away every shred of his dignity. He declares that this is his power now. Voices in his head whisper to him, telling him to kill Ig, that he is the strongest, and that he should bend everything to his will. Sora declares that all Ig has ever done is torment him. He remembers the humiliation and helplessness and that today he will return all of it. Flashing back, he recalls asking IG why he bullied him, and IG's cruel reply that crushing his dignity felt so damn good. Snapping out of his rage, Sora drops IG. He realizes that he cannot become the same as him, but that if scum like IG are allowed to live, more people will suffer. Sora tells IG that since he tried and failed to kill him, he will not kill him in return, but he cannot let him walk away either. IG nervously asks what he is planning to do. Sora states the punishment. For the 2 years IG made his life a living hell, he gets 1 punch. For terrorizing the weak, another punch. For trying to kill him, 2 punches. He says that if IG takes all 4 blows, they will be even. IG begs for forgiveness, pleading that a punch from Sora now would surely kill him. Sora grabs him, tells him not to worry, and then lands a gentle punch to his face. He follows up with a second, then a third. He tells IG to get up for the last punch, but IG, beaten and bloodied, just begs to be killed. Sora, however, kicks him in the head, saying that he has decided to do a little more. He amputates all 4 of IG's limbs and makes him completely blind. That, he thinks, looks about right. He tells IG's cronies to take him to a hospital and never show their faces in front of him again. Then he leaps off, thinking that the cleanup is done and it is time to head home. Meanwhile, at the S-City buffer zone, guards on wall watch duty are talking. One is relieved that they do not have to fight monsters out here, but another tells him not to be a wimp. Their level 31 commander, First Lieutenant Tanji, warns them to stay sharp. Private Shoki, a level 22 warrior, reassures everyone that monsters rarely appear here, just as a monster appears and kills him. A level 45 shell-type monster called the Child of Kraken has appeared. The soldiers fire at it, but their bullets deflect off its hard shell. They realize their weapons are useless due to the level difference. The monster attacks and Tanji orders everyone to spread out. The first soldier is sliced in half. His friend, enraged, grabs explosives and charges at the monster, vowing to take it down. Under covering fire, the soldier reaches the creature. It raises its tentacles to strike but then suddenly stops, seemingly in fear. They wonder if it is scared of something. The monster hides its eye and takes a defensive stance. Seeing this as an opportunity, the soldier hurls the explosives, but the blast does minimal damage. The monster is unscathed. Just as the monster is about to attack again, Sora lands with immense force, crushing the creature beneath him and saving the soldier. The man is stunned. Tanji wonders if Sora was the reason the monster was so scared. Tanji is amazed, thinking that the stranger killed a monster that survived an explosion in a single hit. He muses that there are not many with such S-rank destructive power, and he has never seen this person before. He decides that he must find out who he is. Tanji activates his advanced inspect skill, which allows him to see detailed information about a target. However, he is shocked to see a system alert telling him to show respect. The feedback is so strong that it makes him dizzy and he collapses. His soldiers rush to his side and Sora turns, asking for a moment of their time. He wants to know how far it is to evacuation shelter 6. A soldier tells him that it is 50 kilometers to the north, but that he will have to go through area to get there. He explains that Area X is where they are holding back the monster rush, and that many hunters are stationed there. The soldiers mention the rare drops, and Sora wonders if you really get loot from monsters in the real world, just like in a game. He asks how strong the Kraken monster was to them. The soldier replies that a level 45 monster is a tough opponent. This surprises Sora, and he asks how many monsters above level 45 are in the monster rush. The soldier estimates that there are probably no more than 100. Sora says he understands and that he will be on his way. The soldier stops him and makes an unreasonable request, asking him to please go to area. He says that a strong hunter like Sora could save many lives there. Sora asks if the shortest route to Shelter 6 is through area. The soldier confirms this, and Sora agrees, saying that as he passes through, he will defeat any monsters unfortunate enough to come across him. Later, in a military tent, Tanji wakes up. His men are relieved and tell him he was out for about 10 minutes thanks to a recovery item. He asks about the man who saved them and is told that he went north. It dawns on him that Sora is heading for Area X, returning to evacuation shelter 6. He asks if the man showed any hesitation, and the soldier confirms that he went without a care. Panicked, Tanji orders them to contact the Central Command Center immediately. The soldier is confused, but Tanji looks at his watch and sees that there are only 10 minutes until the scheduled time. A soldier reports that he sent the message. Tanji explains that this operation is highly classified, which is why they were not informed. Area is not a monster containment zone but a bombing zone. At the Central Command Center, a woman reports an emergency call from Area B-22. Central Commander Renji Kumagaya, a level 58 flame mage, orders her to put them through. Tanji's voice comes through the comms, reporting that a mysterious hunter has entered the bombing zone, unaware of the operation. Renji dismisses this, asking if he is just there to report a mistake. Tanji insists, saying that he believes an emergency broadcast is in order because the man is very strong and they cannot let him die. Renji asks if he is a strong hunter and wants to know his level. Flustered, Tanji admits that he does not know. Renji scoffs, summarizing the situation. An unknown level hunter breaks the rules, enters a bombing zone, and now Tanji wants an emergency broadcast for him. The woman next to him chimes in, saying that the hunter will probably be dead before the message even goes out. Renji laughs, telling her she has a talent for comedy. He leans over to a blonde woman and says it is not his place to interfere with her subordinates, but if he reports her for obstructing the operation, she will be held accountable. The story reveals this woman is the Western commander, Mai Tanasaki, a level 73 golem tamer. She thinks to herself that Renji is an idiot. She realizes that Tanji, whom she has trained so carefully, is risking a lot to save a stranger, so the man must be incredibly powerful. She addresses Tanji and says she trusts he will not interfere, but if he cannot give her a convincing reason for his request, she will personally put him on military tribunal. She adds that this should be satisfactory for Renji as well. Renji clicks his tongue and tells Tanji to give them a reason they can accept. Tanji explains that the mysterious hunter slew a level 45 baby kraken in a single hit. Mai is shocked, realizing he must be more powerful than an A-rank hunter, and wonders if he is an S-rank from the military. Renji dismisses this, stating that all S-rank personnel are on missions. Mai then asks Tanji why he does not know the hunter's level since his inspect skill should work. Tanji embarrassingly admits that after using his skill, he lost consciousness due to information overload. This shocks Mai, as it means the hunter is at least level 100. Renji taps his finger, acknowledging the man's rare strength but maintaining that it is not enough to stop the operation. The Eastern commander, a level 44 rock mage named Nobuo Yuasa, agrees, saying they cannot abandon their responsibilities for uncertain reasons. He explains that thousands of troops are involved in this operation. The original plan was to bomb the area and have the soldiers in the garrison zone take out the scattered survivors. An emergency broadcast would attract all the monsters to one place, causing the area to fall instantly and resulting in tens of thousands of soldier deaths. Saving one life at the cost of so many is a risk they cannot take. He apologizes. With a heavy heart, Mai rejects Tanji's request and declares the decision final. The call ends and Tanji is crushed. His men try to comfort him, but he can only sigh about the bigger picture. One of his soldiers, Shoki, the one Sora saved, silently takes the keys from his belt. When Tanji asks what he is doing, Shoki runs to a jeep. Tanji shouts at him to come back, but Shoki yells that there is still time and speeds off towards the bombing zone. His men ask if they should bring him back, but Tanji says it is fine, that Shoki has made his decision. As Shoki races against time, the narrator reveals that what he did not know was that the man he was trying to save would become the hope for all of mankind. Shoki curses having lost Sora's trail. He wonders where the man could have gone as he is taking the fastest path. If he still cannot find him, it means Sora is moving faster than his vehicle. As he approaches Area X, he considers using the loudspeaker to alert Sora, but he knows it will also attract monsters. With less than 2 minutes remaining, he makes a decision. After taking a deep breath and telling himself he is a disgrace, he grabs the speaker and yells that he is the soldier Sora helped earlier and that the area is about to be bombed. He shouts for Sora to evacuate immediately, repeating the warning over and over. Sora, who has just finished a fight, hears him. This explains the lack of hunters in the area. He knows the monsters themselves are not a threat, but he is unsure if he can survive the blast's heat. He decides it is best to avoid pointless risks, but he realizes that the soldier risked his life to warn him and he cannot let him die. With only 30 seconds left, Shoki wonders if Sora heard him. Suddenly, dragons swoop down and land in front of his jeep, attracted by the noise. He slams on the gas, trying to escape, but then remembers that Sora is still out there. Just then, a monster corpse lands in front of his vehicle, blocking his path. Sora taps on his window and Shoki is relieved to see he is alive. As Sora asks what he meant about the bombing, the timer hits 0. The operation begins. Jets fly overhead, dropping a barrage of missiles. As the area is bombarded, a monster is shown with a protective shield. Sora stomps the ground, raising an earth wall to deflect the debris flying toward them. At the command center, a woman reports to Renji that the bombing is complete. He orders the use of drones to assess the damage. She reports that there are no signs of life and that all the monsters are still in the bombing zone, completely unscathed at the center. Renji and Mai are stunned. Mai asks about the drone feed. As the video is pulled up, they see monsters protected by shields. More shockingly, a robed person is standing among them. This person and the monsters begin destroying the drones one by one. Communication is lost. Mai is taken aback. They were told this wave would be different, and now the monsters seem to know they are being watched. Nobuo panics, ordering the evacuation of the garrison area. Mai agrees and issues an order to hold the walls, but the operator reports that the monsters are not heading for the walls. Confused, they ask where they are going. She tells them that they are heading to Area B-22, the same place the mysterious hunter went. Mai immediately orders all remaining drones to B-22 to find out what stopped the monster's advance. Back in the bombed zone, Shoki gets out of the jeep, amazed that he survived. Sora tells him it is too early to celebrate because if he is alive, so are the monsters and they are heading their way. Suddenly, he shoves Shoki to the ground, dodging a falling drone. Shoki is shocked, saying that this has never happened before. Sora tells him to save his astonishment for later as they are now surrounded. They will have to make a run for it. Shoki is terrified, seeing that the leader of the monster horde is level 90 and that there are many other high-level creatures around. He realizes that they survived the bombing without a single scratch and thinks it is all over. Sora calmly states that since the bombing did not kill them, they will just have to beat them to death. He tells Shoki to hide in the jeep and leaps into the fray, effortlessly slaughtering the monsters. The boss swings its giant mace at Sora, but he catches it with one hand and yanks it away, throwing it to the ground. He then flies up and delivers a powerful punch to the monster's head, completely obliterating it. He now stands on the monster's shoulder opposite the cloaked man and is surprised that he could not sense his presence at all. The cloaked man smirks, saying that he has finally found him. His tentacles reach out and begin to heal the headless monster. He calls Sora the Seed of the Abyss, and as the monster's head regenerates, he accuses Sora of being a thief who needs to give back what belongs to him. When Sora asks what he is talking about, the man says that for the crime of taking another's power, Sora must pay with his life. Shadowy daggers materialize and fly toward Sora, but they fail to pierce his skin. He catches one, inspecting it, and taunts the man, saying that if that is all he has, he will not be able to kill him. Just then, a drone flying overhead catches the robed man's attention. He wonders if it is Odin's raven, then dismisses it as a human imitation. Sora tells the man to get more serious if he wants to kill him and stabs forward at where the man was, but he hits only the boss. The man has vanished. He reappears, disgusted at being watched by vile humans, and orders the other monsters to destroy all the observers. Drones begin to be destroyed one after another. In a nearby apartment building, a scout reports that his drone was destroyed but that he completed his mission. He has learned that the mysterious hunter, Sora, is the reason the monsters changed course, and he needs to inform his commander. But before he can, a monster bursts through the wall and he is killed. The robed man orders his servants to kill them all. Remembering Shoki's words, Sora feels a renewed sense of purpose. He tells himself that to hunt an enemy, he must start with the leader. He leaps towards the robed man, knowing that to save as many people as possible, he has to kill his enemies quickly. The boss sees an opening and attacks, but Sora dodges, noting that fusing with the robed man has increased the monster's power. The robed man emerges from the shadows, and as Sora gets a better look, he is shocked to see that the man looks exactly like him. The man summons a shadowy sword, and Sora senses its immense, dangerous energy. He calls Sora the Seed of the Abyss and declares that he will kill him as it is his destiny. As the man thrusts his sword forward, Sora punches his arm, causing him to drop the weapon. He grabs the sword and swings it, but the attack is nullified. He is baffled, wondering if it was just his imagination. The energy surge is almost exactly like the power he felt back in the abyss. The robed man asks if stealing weapons is all Sora is capable of. With a swing of his hand, the sword in Sora's grasp disappears. Sora realizes that this is the power of the abyss and that this fight will drag on. He decides he needs to get Shoki to safety first. He asks the soldier if he is okay with heights, and as Shoki confirms, Sora lifts the jeep into the air. The robed man calls him a fool, saying that he should not take the power of the abyss lightly. He declares that the strong do not exist to protect the weak, but to become the strongest, as he forms a giant sphere of dark energy in the sky. He yells for Sora to die alongside the weak human. Sora notes how fast the attack is and realizes he cannot outrun it. Instead, he leaps toward it and punches through, but he feels no impact. He spots a smaller, purer orb within the energy and realizes that is the real core. He then hears Shoki screaming and sees that the dark energy is toying with the jeep. He tells Shoki to get out, but the soldier is paralyzed with fear. The robed man tells Shoki not to be afraid and calls him a pitiful lamb. Sora watches in horror as spikes of dark energy pierce the jeep. He rushes over only to find Shoki dead. The robed man asks if Sora is angry now, using necromancy to make Shoki's corpse smile and laugh. He tells Sora that this is the fate of the Seed of the Abyss, which is to watch everyone he cares about die. Enraged, Sora asks if he gets off on trampling other people's dignity. The robed man laughs and unleashes an obsidian storm attack. Sora stands his ground, letting the projectiles cut him, and tells the man that scum like him make him sick. He unleashes a powerful punch, shattering the spikes and reaching for Shoki's body. The reanimated corpse with glowing red eyes starts to attack Sora. Filled with sorrow, Sora apologizes to the soldier for getting him involved and places him back in the car. He then lunges at the robed man, but his attack is nullified. The man taunts him, saying that a rookie who cannot handle the power of the abyss cannot hope to defeat him. As he speaks, Sora lands a punch to his face, sending him flying. The monster boss moves to protect him as the man exclaims that it is impossible that Sora actually hurt him. Sora replies that people grow and calls the man an idiot. The man realizes that Sora has learned to control the power of the abyss just by seeing him use it. He searches for Sora, who appears behind him. He jumps away, putting distance between them, and says that Sora is tougher than he thought. Sora retorts that the man might escape, but his boss will not. He then swings his arm down, slicing the giant monster in half. As the boss monster begins to heal with the power of the abyss, Sora realizes he needs to aim for its core. He grabs the dark energy with his bare hands and begins to tear it apart, yelling for it to be crushed. The monster's core is damaged, and as Sora descends, sunlight shines down, causing the creature to disintegrate into ash. The boss has been defeated. Sora glares at the robed man and tells him that he is next. The robed man vows that he will remember this and unleashes a skill called Shadow Unity. Nearby monsters are brought under his control and they surround Sora. Sora looks for an opportunity to attack the man, but his immense power keeps him at bay. Suddenly, the pressure vanishes and the man is gone. Sora is surprised that he used such a powerful technique just to escape, and he is annoyed that his clothes have been ruined. He is relieved, however, that his parents' picture is still intact. He walks over to Shoki's body, thinking that the soldier probably had a family waiting for him too. He takes the dog tags and buries him, vowing to take at least this much back with him. He knows this will not be his last encounter with the robed man, and the thought of his threat against his family enrages him. He knows he cannot let the man reach the evacuation shelter first. With that, he dashes off, moving so fast that he breaks the sound barrier. Back at the bombing site, a drone remains intact. It hovers into the air, and Mai orders her team to investigate the area thoroughly. A soldier reports that the monsters are all dead, and she replies that she already knows. She tells him to check the drone data. The footage shows clear signs of a massive battle, and she realizes that the strong hunter not only survived the bombing, but also wiped out the entire monster rush. A soldier calls her over, saying that the drone's SD card is in good condition. She eagerly looks at the visualized data. Meanwhile, a soldier stumbles upon the loot dropped by the boss, a special energy potion and a rank weapon and a mysterious unidentifiable cube. Another soldier sees him and accuses him of hiding the items, reminding him that taking loot for himself is a crime. He demands the items. The first soldier asks how they are supposed to divide them. The other says he only wants the cube. Knowing that a box like this likely contains a legendary item, the soldier refuses, but his comrade grabs his shoulder, telling him that he has no choice. The first soldier reluctantly hands over the cube, and the other man walks away, laughing that he has finally obtained a golem relic. At Evacuation Shelter 6, Sora lands on a rooftop and observes the scene. Guards are on duty and people are walking around, seemingly untouched by the chaos. As he walks through the crowd, everyone turns to stare. Sora thinks that he cannot sense the robed man's presence, or anyone strong for that matter. He knows that without a powerful defender, this place will soon be destroyed. He then notices a blindfolded man. The man remarks on the dense bloodlust emanating from Sora and concludes that Sora must be from the outside. When Sora confirms this, the man expresses his relief, saying he only wants to buy information about the outside world. Sora agrees to help if he can, but first, he asks why a monk is addressing him with such a formal title. The man laughs, admitting that the outfit and the act are just hobbies. When Sora questions if he is really blind, the man explains that he recently contracted an eye disease. However, Sora can sense a terrifying light from behind the blindfold and realizes that this man is concealing his power. He asks the monk what he wants to know. The man says he wants to know what is happening outside. Sora tells him that soldiers are gearing up for battle at the walls and that he heard explosions from the southwest. He laughingly explains that he was on an errand when the blast scared him so much that he dropped his letter and had to use his shirt as a map. The monk pretends to believe him, and Sora thinks to himself that this man must also be hiding his power. He takes the money the man offers. The man tells him he has been a huge help. Sora watches the man walk away in a vague direction and wonders how many other strong fighters are in the shelter. He decides not to make a scene and notes how freely a suspicious person like himself can wander around. He muses that perhaps everyone's guard is down because they are all facing the same enemy. With the money he received, he buys new clothes and vows to find his parents. He starts by showing his family's photo to people. The first woman he approaches reacts as if she has seen a ghost and quickly walks away, saying she does not know them. A nearby tough guy confronts Sora for hitting on people in the middle of the night. Sora shows him the photo and the man reacts with surprise, asking why Sora has a picture of them. He wants to know Sora's relationship with them, and when Sora reveals he is their son, the man is incredulous. He asks if Sora is trying to make fun of him. Suddenly, a speeding car swerves towards them and collides with Sora, but he stands unmoved. Terrified, the tough guy changes his tune and quickly gives Sora directions to his parents' home. After thanking him, Sora leaves. The man tells Sora to take care before running off in a panic to gather his people. Sora is concerned that a thug knows where his family lives. He remembers how kind and trusting his parents were and knows that people like them are often taken advantage of. But he tells himself that it is okay because he is here now. He arrives at a grand-looking house and wonders if his parents really live there. He knocks and hears his father's voice. When the door opens, he sees his dad in a butler outfit who asks who he is. Confused, his father asks who Sora is. Sora says his name is Sora, but his dad is still in disbelief. As Sora and his father sit in silence, his mother enters with drinks and apologizes for the wait. She asks if they have not spoken yet, and his father replies that he can hardly believe this is the same Sora they knew. He suggests a private exchange of secrets, and Sora asks what he means. His father says that he does not want to expose himself in front of his wife, but that he needs answers, and if Sora is hiding something, he will deal with him. Up in the rafters, a henchman receives an order. Sora notices him and realizes his father is still wary. His dad asks if he is ready, and Sora warns the henchman to take care, because he is about to hear things he should not. Sora reveals that his father took cooking classes every weekend with the homemaker support group. His dad is shocked, and the henchman is stunned. Sora adds that his dad also snuck off to ballet classes every week, leaving the henchman even more dumbfounded. His father glares at the henchman, who starts to feel very nervous. His father clears his throat, saying that is all true but that anyone could figure that out. So Sora offers to tell him something about their family, warning him not to say he was not forewarned. His father, sweating, tells him to go ahead. Sora points to a Japanese sword on display and declares it a replica. The henchman is confused and his dad demands proof. Sora walks over and explains that the hilt has his brother's bite marks. The henchman recounts the story he knew, of the family head biting down on the blade to kill 38 people, but Sora demonstrates that the blade retracts. His father, now exposed, calls Sora an idiot and hugs him tightly, overcome with emotion. He cries, saying they thought he was dead and that they searched everywhere for him. He explains that he became a boss in the underworld while looking for information about Sora. As he is bawling, Sora asks him to get the henchman off the roof. The henchman is amazed, having never seen the honor-bound family head in such a state. He decides he needs to leave, but Sora grabs him by the leg and says his father wants to talk. Now sitting at the table, his father tells the henchman, named Akiyai, that he has the loosest tongue of all the guards. They both warn him that if this gets out, it will be on him. Akiyai promises to keep silent, realizing they are definitely father and son. His mother calmly tells them not to threaten him, but also warns him not to say a word. His father sighs in relief, glad that Sora did not mention his snoring or farting. His wife chastises him for bringing it up himself. Sora smiles, thinking it feels like he has truly come home. A knock at the door interrupts the moment. The tough guy from earlier bursts in, yelling for his boss and warning him that a white-haired kid is looking for him. Sora is already sitting at the table when the thug bursts in, sees him, and freaks out. The thug stammers that they have a lot of people and accuses Sora of being from the rival Tiger's Roar Guild, come to harm his boss. Sora, with an intimidating glare, calmly grabs his own knee to steady his shaking, and then asks his dad to introduce him to his men. His father announces that this is his son, Sora, who has been missing for 5 years. When it comes to Sora's level, he hesitates, admitting that he does not know. Sora coolly explains that he does not have the system. The men are shocked, wondering how he could have survived 5 years in the Fallen Zones without it. The tough guy, who the others call Broccoli Head, scoffs, saying that without the system, you cannot get past level 10. Another mutters that Sora must just be a beginner. Broccoli Head nervously laughs and tries to backtrack, but then remembers that the car hitting Sora had no effect. Sora challenges Broccoli Head to try seeing his level with the system. Broccoli Head, confused, agrees. He explains that you can see a monster's level with the system, but that you need the rare inspect skill to see another player's level. He mentions that the boss has it, and Sora tells his father to take a look. As everyone gathers around, his father activates the skill. Sora asks his mother if she wants to look, but she says that she just wants to be by his side and already knows anyway. His dad is shocked. No matter how many times he tries, he cannot see any information about Sora. He explains that there are 2 possibilities. Either Sora truly has no system, or his level is too high for him to see. Since he can see Sora's name and he knows Sora could not have survived for 5 years as a beginner, his level must be beyond perception. He asks his son what he was doing all this time. His mother interjects, saying that they should just be happy he is back. She tells Sora that he is a strong child and must have gone through a lot. Touched, Sora tears up, remembering his years in the abyss, and comforts her. As his father leads his men out to give the family privacy, one of them asks where Gyro and the others are. Sora asks his mother about his brother, Riku. She reassures him that he is fine, serving in the military. She offers to call him and explains that he has been fighting on the front lines as if trying to avenge Sora. Sora then asks about her position here. She explains that she is a cleric, a healer with support and even prophetic abilities. He asks if she can see what is wrong with him, but she says she cannot see skills. When he asks how she knew he would come back, she reminds him of her prophecies. Later, there is a knock at the gate. A man opens the door to find another man with an on his forehead, who is revealed to be the vice chief. The door opens and Sora's dad welcomes Jiro Iwashima, the vice president of the United Guilds. Noticing his long face, Sora's father asks what is wrong as he had someone looking into the situation. The man reports that Tiger's Roar is indeed connected to the army. He explains that when they turned in monster carcasses, an inspector nitpicked and gave them half the points, but he reported the full amount to his bosses, with all the disparity leading to Tiger's Roar. Sora's father realizes there is more to this, but he knows they cannot afford to be trampled as it would affect the town's future. He tells Gyro to rest and that he will handle Tiger's Roar later, determined to show them that the United Guilds are not to be trifled with. Overhearing this with his enhanced senses, Sora realizes that things are more serious than he thought. He is worried about his father negotiating with them. He opens the door and tells his dad he is coming with them. The thug, Broccoli Head, wonders if Sora is really getting involved, thinking it might be a chance to see his true power. Gyro asks who Sora is and his dad introduces him as his long-lost son. When Gyro asks about his level, Sora's dad reveals that his son does not have the system. Gyro is skeptical, knowing that surviving 5 years without it is nearly impossible. He suggests Sora is exhausted and should sit this one out. His father agrees, telling Sora to stay with his mother, who offers to show him around. Sora knows they think he will be useless in a fight, a normal human among system users. Realizing he does not fully understand the shelter's situation, he decides it is best to hide his powers for now and agrees to stay. As the group leaves, his mother reassures him and says his dad is just worried. She tells him that her prophetic visions say he will be safe. Sora playfully protests, saying he is not a kid anymore, but he is concerned. He asks his mother about the shelter and their conflict with Tiger's Roar. She explains that after Judgment Day, his father, an awakened, founded the United Guilds to manage the shelters in hopes of finding Sora. Their guild handles order and supplies while the military deals with tower raids. Several months ago, a branch of Tiger's Roar, a large guild from another shelter, set up shop here, and they have been in conflict ever since. Sora asks why the military does not intervene. She explains that the military is overwhelmed and relies on Tiger's Roar, which was founded to clear towers. Their strength is so great that the military cannot ignore them, especially since they have Esra, who are awakened chosen by the tower deities. She describes the deities as lords of the towers with godlike power, who bestow divine abilities upon those who pass their trials. Tiger's Roar has the most Esra and has been absorbing smaller guilds. His father's guild, though loved by the locals, has never cleared a single tower and has no Esra, leaving them in a bad position. Sora wonders why his family's guild acts like a Yakuza group if they are so beloved. She chuckles, saying it is just her personal preference. She encourages him to take a bath and offers to wash his back. He politely declines. She leaves, and as soon as she is gone, Sora, still worried about his father, leaps out of the window to follow him. His mother watches him go and remarks on how children can be such a handful. We get a proper introduction to Sora's father, whose name is Sakuya. He and his men from the Union Guild are heading straight for the Tiger's Roar Guild headquarters. Meanwhile, Sora watches from a high rooftop and notices the city is completely dark except for the central area. He thinks this is a good thing, as it makes his target easier to find. He spots his objective, but a sudden wave of dizziness washes over him. He wonders what is happening. Sora thinks about how he has never even caught a cold since the abyss fragments strengthened him. Suddenly, an ethereal voice echoes in his mind, declaring that it will not let him run away. Sora looks around, unable to pinpoint the source of the voice. He questions if the enemy is hiding his presence because he cannot sense him at all. This confirms that his foe was indeed in Shelter 6. As another wave of dizziness hits, the voice taunts Sora, revealing that his soul has been marked. Sora spins around and throws a punch right where the voice seems to originate, but his fist passes through a mere illusion of a grinning man. As the illusion cackles and repeats its threats, Sora realizes this must be the soul marking the voice mentioned. Suddenly, spotlights hit the roof. Guards shout at Sora, asking what he is doing up there so late at night. Sora curses himself for shouting aloud and getting noticed. He quickly dashes away, realizing the illusion vanished the moment the light hit him. He lands on another rooftop, and just as he suspected, the illusion returns in the darkness. Sora understands that light might be the key and decides to test his theory. He makes his way down to a street, deliberately standing under a lamppost. Sora finally gets it. If he stays in the dark for 7 seconds, the soul marking activates and he gets intensely dizzy. If he loses his composure, the Phantom's dialogue changes. As the ghostly figure appears beside him, a passing woman stares at Sora. She thinks he must be a Chunibyo, some kid who acts like an anime character. Sora realizes only he can see this menacing face. He notes that when he walks into the light, a screeching noise rings in his head, and after a moment the marking and the illusion disappear. Sora finally understands. The constant sunlight and the lights in his house are the reason he never experienced this before. He concludes this must be how the enemy can track his location. This means a surprise attack could come at any time, so he knows he cannot let his guard down. But first, he resolves to find his dad. The Phantom's voice keeps tormenting him. Sora yells for it to shut up, earning him strange glances from people on the street. As a car's headlights sweep over him, the illusion flickers and vanishes, confirming his theory. He recalls his mother's warning that the United Guilds are no longer of any use to the military. This means his dad is in grave danger. Sora knows the military is allied with the Tiger's Roar Guild, and that they will not just sit by quietly. He concludes there is a strong chance they are planning to destroy the United Guilds. In that case, Sora's eyes glow with grim resolve. He vows to protect his mom and dad, even if it means killing everyone. He finally arrives at his destination and watches a crowd gathered ahead. He briefly wonders if they can ever go back to those peaceful days. He recalls a lesson from his past. His father once told him that violence should always be the last resort. A young Sora had promised he would remember that. Sora now wonders if his dad will stick to that principle in this situation. Suddenly, the crowd erupts. A few men yell for everyone to get out of the way, exclaiming that it is finally starting. The men excitedly recall that it has been a while since their boss drew his sword. They remember the last time he did, he left a nearly 20-meter-long scar on his opponent. On the field, Sakuya's aura explodes, his eyes glowing a menacing red. He roars the name Tsuchida, challenging his rival to come out and face him. Sakuya unleashes a devastating attack. He swings his sword and a massive arc of energy slices a nearby building diagonally in half, causing it to crumble into a storm of debris. Across the way, a large, bearded man and his subordinates watch the destruction. Sora stands frozen, completely stunned by his own father's overwhelming power. With the building carved open, Sakuya Mukujima calmly sheathes his sword. In the crowd, Sora asks one of his father's men if the boss has always been so aggressive. The man explains that the boss is famous for jumping into fights quickly. Sora is confused, remembering his father's teaching that violence was a last resort. The guild member clarifies that Sakuya used to say that, back when he believed the military would maintain order. He states that a lot has happened since then. The military no longer cares about minor conflicts between hunters, so long as their main jobs get done and civilians are safe. He reasons that settling things with fists is now the fastest way. If you can win a fight, talking is unnecessary. If you cannot win, talking is useless. The man concludes that their new philosophy is to hit first and talk later. Sora reflects on this. From his encounter with the monk, he thought the truly strong avoided trouble. He wonders if he misunderstood, or if having power like his father's grants won the right to rampage. Sora questions if the monk was just a blindfolded exception. On a distant rooftop, that very monk, Yukio Shuzenji, looks down upon the corpse of the level 90 boss that Sora defeated. A system window reveals his identity as a level 75 Arhat. He activates his keen eye ability, analyzing the scene. Yukio notes that the monster was torn apart without any sign of heavy weaponry. He realizes it is frightening how many powerful people are still out there, and that they must all proceed with caution. He places his blindfold back on, and his status changes to a level 45 monk. Back at the ruined building, the enemy leader, Tsuchida, yells at Sakuya, calling him a bastard. He screams that things are not the same as when the shelters were first built. Sakuya smirks and agrees that things have changed now that annoying bastards like Tsuchida have appeared. He states that he should have killed him back then. Tsuchida taunts him and asks if he is too scared to do it now. The insult hits its mark. Sakuya grits his teeth, unable to ignore the provocation, and his hand goes to his sword once more. Tsuchida inwardly smirks, thinking that he has provoked him enough. He taunts Sakuya further and calls him a coward who cannot even draw his sword. He shouts that Sakuya would be better off as fuel for the Tiger's Roar Guild. Finally snapping, Sakuya draws his blade and leaps forward. Tsuchida raises a shield and a spiritual image of an angel appears behind him. A third party smiles, knowing Sakuya took the bait. A man in a military uniform orders Sakuya not to take another step closer and steps forward. This man, a level 63 assassin named Osamu Yuzui, declares that Sakuya has some nerve starting a fight in a shelter. The Union Guild members are shocked. They question why Yuzui is there and if he plans to side with Tiger's Roar. Sora immediately recognizes this as a setup. He senses a large number of people hidden in the building, confirming that this is no coincidence. Yuzui formally addresses Sakuya. He cites Article 15 of the Shelter Security Act, which forbids dueling. Yuzui explains the punishment can be 15 days of imprisonment or even the death penalty. He asks Sakuya if he will follow their instructions. Sakuya finally understands the entire plot. They provoked him, and when he struck back, they used the law to have him arrested. He realizes Yuzui is not worried about his corruption being exposed and is framing him blatantly. He knows that once he is imprisoned, they could extend his sentence or arrange an unfortunate accident to get rid of him for good. If the United Guilds lose him, their greatest asset, he predicts they will be crushed by Tiger's Roar and the other guilds immediately. Sakuya wonders why the military would go this far and if there is a power struggle happening within their ranks. Though he does not know their full motive, he knows he cannot admit to any crime. Sakuya calmly tells Yuzui he is mistaken, claiming they were not dueling. Yuzui points to the massive slash marks on the building as clear evidence. Sakuya laughs and replies that while it may be evidence, it is evidence of him trying to renovate the building, not start a duel. Yuzui smirks and informs Sakuya that it is not up to him to decide. Yuzui declares that if he says it is evidence of a duel, then that is what it is. He states that Sakuya had already lost the moment he stepped foot in their territory. On cue, soldiers appear on every floor, all aiming rifles at Sakuya. Yuzui demands that Sakuya obediently submit himself to be arrested, leaving him utterly surrounded. The Union Guild members yell their support and urge Sakuya not to lose. One of them suggests they all charge in, but Sakuya tells them to hold their horses. He reminds them that the enemy soldiers have them in their sights and will fire if they move rashly. Yuzui just chuckles. Sakuya sizes up the level 63 assassin, acknowledging that stopping a fast opponent is difficult, but he has a plan. If he can take Tsuchida hostage, they can turn the tables and get through this. As he begins to draw his sword, both Tsuchida and Yuzui brace themselves, knowing it is coming. Tsuchida activates his sword shield ability. He is confident and believes he cannot be the weak link. He thinks about how an agent's defensive skills are superior, allowing him to analyze incoming attacks. At this range, he is certain he can block Sakuya's strike. He knows his shield only works against swords, which is exactly why it performs far beyond its normal level. He brags that it can block a full-blown attack from a level 69 warrior, making a level 65 warrior's attack seem like nothing. He firmly believes Sakuya will not be able to cut through his shield. Tsuchida yells for him to give up, and Yuzui gives Sakuya an ultimatum: come quietly or be thrown in jail with all his comrades. He demands a decision. Sakuya's vice commander Jiro yells out to his boss. Sakuya, frustrated, dispels his aura and holds his sword out as if in surrender. The enemy guild members cheer, thinking he has given up. Yuzui smugly tells him he has finally made a wise decision. The Union members are stunned, but Jiro knows what is really happening. He explains he got a signal from the boss. Sakuya raising his sword was the signal to get ready, and letting it go would be the signal to attack. He knows the enemy has no idea about their plan. Just as planned, Sakuya drops his sword, but the moment he does, he dashes forward. Tsuchida is shocked by the sword disappearing but trusts his shield. Sakuya moves past Yuzui and aims directly for Tsuchida. Tsuchida believes his shield's anti-sword spell will protect him, but Sakuya's blade reappears, glowing with a new energy. From the back, Jiro uses his earth magic. Rocks fly from the ground and encase the tip of Sakuya's sword, transforming it into a hammer. Sakuya smashes the makeshift hammer into the shield, which shatters instantly. Tsuchida is sent flying. Sakuya discards his weapon and lunges for Tsuchida. Yuzui shouts that he knows Sakuya's goal and warns him he will be executed if he touches Tsuchida. Jiro then creates a wall of rocks, blocking Yuzui. In the chaos, Tsuchida orders his men to kill Sakuya. They open fire, but Jiro raises another wall, trapping Sakuya inside with a few soldiers and deflecting the bullets. Tsuchida thinks they just need to stop Sakuya from moving to win. Suddenly, Sakuya vanishes from the stone prison. Tsuchida looks around, confused. Yuzui reappears with Sakuya beside him. Yuzui explains that the stone jail trapped Sakuya in the shadows, and he marked the lingering magic on Tsuchida's broken shield. This fulfilled the conditions for his assassin's skill, Shadow Trance. Yuzui declares that without his hostage, Sakuya has lost. He gives the order to his men to kill the intruders. Jiro is shocked at the turn of events. The soldiers hesitate and question their director's command. Yuzui demands to know why they are surprised. From behind him, Sora's voice chimes in, echoing the question. Yuzui is stunned. He cannot believe someone managed to sneak up on him, an assassin. He recognizes Sora as an enemy and knows the first to strike will win. He pulls out a vial of poison, but Tsuchida immediately recognizes it. He asks how Yuzui stole the deadly poison Tiger's Roar Guild prepared for the level 90 boss. Yuzui tells Sora to let go as he throws daggers at him. Sakuya cries out his son's name as Tsuchida realizes the assassin plans to take everyone down with him. A dark, poisonous fog spreads from the broken vial. Soldiers begin to fall, foaming at the mouth. Tsuchida covers his mouth and grimly accepts that at least Sakuya's ally is dead. But a hand reaches out from the fog, grabbing both him and Yuzui. Tsuchida is in disbelief, questioning how anyone could move in a poison strong enough to kill a level 90 boss. Yuzui stares in horror. Sora stands before them, having caught the poisoned daggers in his mouth, completely unharmed. Yuzui realizes this is not a man, he is a monster. Sora glares down at Yuzui and Tsuchida, then spits out the poisoned daggers. He calmly asks where they think they are going. Tsuchida panics, and we learn a fundamental rule of this world. Every player, regardless of their job, has 5 core stats: intelligence, perception, strength, agility, and constitution. Tsuchida thinks that if Sora can withstand that deadly poison, his constitution must be on par with a level 100 player. Sora tells Yuzui to have his men lower their weapons. Gritting his teeth, Yuzui realizes he has no choice but to fight. He attempts a strike at Sora's knees, but it has no effect. He then leaps up and tries to lock Sora's arm. Tsuchida sees this as their chance. He plans to attack while Sora is preoccupied. But Sora, with minimal movement, effortlessly dodges Tsuchida's attack. He then hurls both men with incredible force. They fly past Sakuya and slam into a wall with a powerful impact. Sakuya turns, still reeling from the shockwave of Sora's display of power. Suddenly, Yuzui begins to fade away. Sora instantly whips his head around. Yuzui is confident, thinking that even if Sora is strong, he will not be able to react to his shadow trance skill. He appears behind Sora and stabs him directly in the back. However, the blade does not even scratch Sora's skin. Yuzui's confidence shatters. Not only did the attack fail, but his blade is now stuck. Sora retaliates with a spinning back fist. Yuzui barely dodges, creating some distance as Sora yanks the knife from his own back. The gust of wind from Sora's missed punch is so powerful it almost breaks Yuzui's nose. The assassin knows he must retreat. But before he can move, Sora closes the distance in a flash. He grabs Yuzui by the face and slams him into the ground. Blood erupts as Yuzui goes limp, his last thought being that Sora is simply too fast. Everyone is stunned into silence. Sora walks forward and casually picks up the unconscious assassin. The terrified soldiers do not dare to make a move. Sora tells his father that he will leave the other one, Tsuchida, to him and that it is time to head home. Sakuya, still dazed, agrees. Back at the Mukujima residence, Sora's mother asks if it is over. Sakuya confirms it is. Jiro asks if they admitted to anything, but Sakuya reports that their lips are sealed. He states it does not matter, at least now they know where Tiger's Roar stands. He orders his men to stay on high alert. Setting the guild's plans aside for the moment, Sakuya turns to his son, wanting to know what he went through for the past 5 years. Sora explains that after seeing his father's conflict, he realized the gravity of the situation. He tells them he fell into a strange realm 5 years ago and spent the entire time killing monsters. He speculates it must have been one of the towers he was trapped inside. He recounts his entire journey all the way until a summoner finally sent him back. His father says there are 16 known towers, but none match his story. Sora concludes it must have been an uncharted one. Jiro suggests that if the tower is near Shelter 6, they can prioritize clearing it. Sakuya simply says he is just glad that Sora is alive. Jiro laughs and exclaims that Sora is not just alive, he is back billions of times stronger than all of them combined. Sora's mother adds that none of that matters as long as he is home. Sakuya agrees, vowing that they will never let their family split up again. Sora looks at his hands, then at his parents. He sees that they are both as scarred by the world as he is. He promises himself that he will never leave them again. Suddenly, the lights in the room flicker and go out, plunging them into darkness. Sora instantly realizes this is bad. While the others wonder if it is a blackout, the phantom from his soul marking materializes behind him, its voice echoing in his mind and promising that it will not let him get away this time. Sora thinks it is odd that the phantom appeared again and that its words are different this time. He realizes that neither his mom nor his dad can see the ghostly figure, despite them both being ability users. Suddenly, the apparition looks shocked. Sora wonders if he dispelled it but realizes it has not left. Instead, it has materialized behind him, a smirk on its face. It greets Sora as the seed of the abyss. Sora is surprised that it has seemingly acquired a sense of self. He notes, however, that it still does not seem to have a physical body. He dismisses it as an illusion he can deal with later. The creature laughs. It asks if Sora is really trying to pretend he cannot hear it and mocks ordinary people for fooling themselves. Then the being covers Sora's eyes. A darkness floods his vision. Sora panics, unable to see, and realizes this might be more than just an illusion. His family calls out to him in alarm. His father asks what happened to Sora's eyes, and his mother tries to use her Purify ability, but a system window informs her that the target is not cursed. Sora wonders if the phantom has a physical form after all. Realizing his family is in danger, he instantly reacts and throws a punch directly at the creature's chest. All his parents see is a surge of black aura as the entity mocks Sora, asking if he is scared. Sora calls the creature a cowardly bastard and asks why it keeps hounding him. The phantom tells him not to get the wrong idea. It then introduces itself as Fodal, a god of darkness from the noble deity race Asa. Fodal explains that Sora absorbed the black crystal, the divine power of the Asa race that was left in the abyss. He reveals that the agents of the gods are after Sora because he left the abyss on his own, and those very agents are now gathering. He warns Sora that if he does not want to die, he must return to the tower with him. Sora connects the dots, realizing that Fodal is talking about the Esras his mother warned him about. His father prepares to intervene, but his mother stops him and says they need to see how this plays out. Sora smirks, saying that if even gods can get wrecked, he wonders what a few Esras can do to him. Fodal retorts that Sora should not get cocky because he only beat him by a stroke of luck. He claims the other Esras are on a completely different level of strength. Sora asks on what basis he is supposed to believe him. Fodal erupts in manic laughter. He screams that Sora does not have to believe him, but that he will regret it when blood starts raining on this land. Sora considers this. He has no reason to trust the being, but on the off chance it is telling the truth, he is unsure of what to do. Suddenly, Fodal cries out in pain as a surge of holy energy envelops him. Sora's vision returns, and a calm voice says that he believes Fodal. Sakuya recognizes the newcomer and calls out his name, Shuzenji. Sora is surprised to see the monk from the shelter entrance. He asks his father if he knows him. Sakuya reveals that he is not just some guy, he and Shuzenji founded the guild together. Fodal struggles against his binds and yells at Shuzenji to release him. Sora asks Shuzenji if he can see the phantom. Shuzenji begins to unravel his blindfold, stating that they need to talk because this is an emergency. Sakuya asks what is going on, and Shuzenji replies that he will explain after he speaks with Sora. Later, in a private room, Sora asks Shuzenji what he meant by emergency. Shuzenji explains that while he is not an Esra, his eyes can perceive divine power, which is why he was able to use forbidden arts to temporarily seal the self-proclaimed god. He tells Sora that although his divine power is of the same nature as Fodal's, Sora's power is far stronger than that of any deity. Shuzenji admits they have no time to investigate how Sora came to possess such power. He reveals that several immense divine forces are gathering in the town, most likely seeking Sora. He confirms what Fodal said was true but warns Sora not to return to the abyss. He states that what resides in the tower is far more troublesome than the Esras, and seeks to reclaim Sora's divine power by deceiving him. Shuzenji advises that the only way to be safe is to leave this place and enlist in the military. Sora points out that those are the same people who tried to blow them up. Shuzenji laughs, acknowledging the military's current state, but mentioning that there is one trustworthy individual within it. He assures Sora that the Esras will not dare to touch him if he is officially aligned with the military. When Sora asks about his parents' safety, Shuzenji explains that the Esras follow an unspoken rule not to involve themselves with ordinary civilians, which is how the Union Guild has survived. He adds that with his own presence, the Esras will not act rashly, as Rakkans are equal in power to Esras. The scene shifts to the Tiger's Roar Guild headquarters, where a level 105 Ares Azura named Hiro Ryusei complains about what a pointless mission this is, deploying 4 Azura for someone without even a system. A man at a desk explains that according to their intel, Sakuya Mukujima's son has been missing for years and probably stumbled into the tower by luck. Shurya Yukinaju, a level 106 Hades Azura, chimes in and says that such trash can be handled by Hiro alone. Hiro takes offense to this, but before he can react, a level 106 Athena Azura named Daoju Rim places a hand on his shoulder, calming him down. The man behind the desk, Mukai, then announces that he will be joining the operation as well. Iwagaya Heiche, a level 101 Hermes Azura, is shocked to hear that their boss is coming along. Mukai reveals that it is a direct order from his superior Zeus, that the kid named Sora Mukujima must be eliminated. He adds that the 16th tower near the 6th refuge area is about to activate, and that everyone knows the benefits of gaining control over a tower. He states that the stubborn alliance, Sakuya's guild, rejected their proposal and plans to proceed on their own. Therefore, their mission is to eliminate not only Sora but his parents as well. Mukai, a level 118 Zeus Azura, declares that they will eliminate them altogether. Back at the Allied Guild, Shuzenji tells Sora to go meet Mai Tanasaki from the command. He assures Sora that she is an acquaintance of his and will surely protect him. He also instructs Sora's mother to check on the curse practitioner. He explains that if war breaks out, even Tiger's Roar will not be able to interfere if there is a curse formation. Sora's mother assures him that the Alliance has its reasons for staying and Sora understands. 15 minutes later, Shuzenji stands guard outside. He senses them coming as a dark energy flows in. 4 figures materialize at the gate and launch an attack. Shuzenji quickly casts a golden bell barrier to block the assault, but it begins to crack and shatter. He is surprised to see 4 Azura members, but then their boss, Mukai, steps through and the others bow to him. Shuzenji is stunned that even Mukai himself showed up. Mukai orders Shurya to begin. Shurya raises his hands, and a dark, wispy energy and Oni soul envelops Sakuya and the other guild members. Sakuya asks what is happening. Shuzenji realizes this is bad. The positions of all alliance members, even the stealth units, have been detected. With such perfect detection, there is no escape. Sakuya uses his own skill Search Eye to see their enemies' levels. He and Shuzenji are stunned. The level difference is no joke. Shuzenji calmly asks the late-night visitors what brings them here. Shurya reports that according to the Oni soul, the one they are looking for is not there. Mukai demands to know where Sora is, but Shuzenji feigns ignorance. Hiro loses his temper, but Shuzenji simply remarks that he lacks proper education. Hiro roars that if he is so eager to die, he will oblige. But from within the guild house, Sora's mother activates a trap. A barrier opens beneath them. A status window reveals that all the intruders have been affected by a curse of weakness. A green aura now surrounds each of them. Hiro grumbles at how petty this is, but he is confident. He claims that even while cursed by a level 68 cleric, he alone can crush the alliance. He throws a punch, but Shuzenji catches it with ease. Shuzenji remarks that Hiro seems to lack understanding about the alliance. A system window shows that Hiro's level has dropped from 105 to 71. Hiro is shocked at losing over 30 levels. Shuzenji, whose Arhat status has now been revealed at level 75, tells him that lowering levels is not a big deal. He strikes Hiro with a palm thrust, sending him flying. Their levels have all been drastically reduced. Sakuya explains that anyone who enters the curse area has their level reduced by 50% of the caster's level, which is a total of 34 levels. He asks if they can still fight. Mukai laughs, finding the situation interesting. He calls out to Daoju, who steps forward and unleashes her own spell. Mukai cackles, saying that as long as they are in the palm of his hand, Sora will definitely return. The world around them distorts, and Shuzenji opens his eyes to find they have been transported to an ethereal arena. A voice announces that they are welcome to Athena's arena. Mukai states it has been a while since he met an equal opponent and that his heart is racing. He muses that waiting for Sora to fall into the trap will not be boring. As for the others, the nuisances, he summons a blade of light and declares he might as well eliminate them too. Meanwhile, in a ruined cityscape, Mai Tanasaki watches as a figure descends from the sky. It is Sora who lands beside her. She's taken aback as he holds up a photo, confirming her identity. Sora explains that he is from the Union and has come seeking military protection. She quickly orders her soldiers to lower their weapons and asks if he is Sora Mukujima, stating that she has something to ask him. Back at the arena, Daoju slams her staff into the ground. Flames erupt atop massive pillars, illuminating the Colosseum. She calls upon the gods to bear witness and guide this duel. An ethereal form of the goddess Athena materializes. Sakuya and the others are stunned. Athena's voice echoes and declares that each side will present 5 warriors. The first to achieve 3 victories will receive the blessing of Olympus, while the losing side will be burned to death by the light of the gods. Sakuya is confused, wondering what this means since there are only 8 of them present. Daoju replies that it is 8 for now and that the main players are still on their way, referring to Mukai and Sora. Hiro steps forward, arrogantly asking who wants to die first. A notification appears, challenging Sakuya's guild to battle. Shuzenji steps up and takes the blame for the situation due to his judgment. Sakuya reassures him and says that just having him here is enough. With Sora's mother's curse reducing their enemy's level, they have a chance in a one-on-one fight. Gyro agrees, since Sora's mother is not suited for combat, the remaining 3 of them just need to secure 3 wins. Both Shuzenji and Sakuya are determined. Shuzenji warns them that Ares Azura is the most ferocious of all. He recalls that after becoming an Azura, Hiro single-handedly defeated a guild that had 3 Azura of its own. But Shuzenji announces that he has a strategy. He volunteers to take the first match. As he steps into the arena, he formally asks for a bout. The goddess instructs both parties to take their positions and begin. Hiro scoffs and charges forward. Shuzenji deftly dodges Hiro's initial attacks, moving with fluid grace. Hiro grows frustrated and demands to know if all Shuzenji can do is run. Finally, Shuzenji catches Hiro's hand. Sakuya cheers, but this is exactly what Hiro wanted. Shuzenji realizes his mistake and uses a powerful palm strike to create distance. Shurya observes that Shuzenji seems cautious. Daoju notes that Hiro's attacks are not that lenient. Shuzenji looks down at his arm, which is now bleeding. Sakuya calls out to him, worried. Hiro grins, revealing sharp bone-like claws erupting from his knuckles. He asks how Shuzenji likes the Fang of Cadmos. Shuzenji identifies it as Ars's pet snake, surprised that it can be used in close-range combat. Hiro declares that they are just getting started and yells that Cadmos is not full yet. Hiro lunges forward, but Shuzenji sidesteps his initial attack. A sharp pain shoots through Shuzenji's arm. Cadmos, the draconic familiar, has struck. Shuzenji is shocked at its speed as it drags him across the ground. He quickly reactivates his golden bell curtain, deflecting Cadmos and creating some distance. Shuzenji realizes that Cadmos has not gotten faster. Instead, the dragon's poison has slowed him down. Hiro compliments him and says he is tough for a monk. A status window reveals the fang of the poisonous dragon skill, which enhances Hiro's power and regenerates his health by absorbing the blood of his victims. Hiro taunts that this is the extent of Shuzenji's power. Sakuya uses his appraise skill, realizing that the gap between them will only grow as the fight drags on. Hiro charges in and the two trade blows. He mockingly asks how the dragon's poison feels coursing through Shuzenji's body. As Shuzenji begins a chant, Hiro cuts him off, saying that he has no time for prayers. Shurya and Daoju are confused. They can sense an immense divine power emanating from Shuzenji, but he is not an Azura. They wonder where he is drawing such power from. Sakuya, however, realizes what is happening. He knows it is a risky move, but he understands it is Shuzenji's only chance at a breakthrough. He thinks that they might just win this. The divine energy erupts from Shuzenji. A massive golden deity, the Vajra Bodhisattva's 100-syllable mantra, manifests behind him. Hiro dodges the initial strike and mocks the puny attack. He leaps into the air and the deity follows. He laughs, calling Shuzenji an idiot for trying to go hand-to-hand. He boasts that he likes Shuzenji's guts and remembers killing another fool who tried a similar plan. That man thought he could block Cadmos' fang by condensing his divine power, but what he did not know was that divine power is a richer source than fresh blood. Hiro declares he will devour every part of Shuzenji, just as he did with that idiot, telling him to drown in despair and die. Suddenly, a fist smashes into his face, sending him reeling. He is confused by what just happened. Shuzenji relentlessly continues his assault. Hiro is shocked. It is not just Shuzenji's speed, but also his power and reflexes. Everything has been powered up. Hiro thinks that Shuzenji is now the perfect fodder for Cadmos and yells for him to stand still and be consumed. Cadmos bites down on the divine armor, and Hiro celebrates, claiming that his divine power is now his. He believes he has won, but in that moment, an energy blast pierces through his chest. Divine power erupts from his body. He cries out that he cannot control his power. Shuzenji informs him that it is too early to rejoice. He explains that Arakan's power is heavily taxing on the body, and he lands another punch on Hiro's face. Hiro screams that it is impossible for Cadmos to be unable to absorb his power. Shuzenji reveals that he never said it was divine power and explains that Hiro was just too naive. With a final blow, he sends Hiro's body cartwheeling across the arena. Sora's mother reflects on Shuzenji's past decision to become Arakan. She explains that it prevents him from ever becoming an Azura and limits him to physical strength, but that karmic power is incredibly strong, though hard to control without building up virtue. Only Zen power can keep karmic energy in check. Shuzenji states that since Ares Azura has absorbed more karmic power than he can control, moving a muscle will be difficult. He says that Hiro's frequent bad deeds have left him with zero Zen power, making it impossible for him to take control of Shuzenji's karmic power. Sakuya celebrates, shouting that he told them they could win. Daoju and Shurya are shocked, but Shurya warns Shuzenji not to get cocky. He declares that they should not underestimate the Ezras. Hiro gets to his feet as Cadmos lets out a final roar. Hiro grits his teeth, knowing he does not have enough divine power left to maintain the dragon's form. He declares he is going all in. In a brutal display of desperation, he rips apart Cadmos with his bare hands, creating a shockwave across the arena. The dragon's blood splashes near Shuzenji, burning into the ground. Shuzenji is shocked by the deadly potency of the poison. A red miasma rises from the puddle as he distances himself. A deep war drum sound begins to echo through the arena. Sakuya and Jiro are stunned. From the bloody mist, Hiro offers the blood of the poisoned dragon to General Ares, asking him to grant him his spear. A glowing red weapon materializes in his hands. He vows to fight until his body turns to dust. Daoju explains that Azuras cannot wield a divine weapon without a sacrifice, and that even then, it is only temporary. She states it carries the power of the gods and adapts to the wielder's fighting style. Shurya smirks, saying that this is the unbridgeable gap between normal players and Ezras, and that it is over for Shuzenji. Daoju thinks to herself that Hiro offered the poisoned dragon Ares had given him, a trick that could get him in serious trouble with the gods. But knowing Ares' merciful nature, she believes he might forgive Hiro if he wins. However, if he loses, his punishment would be unimaginable. She quickly dismisses the thought. No regular player could ever beat an Azura wielding a divine weapon. Hiro charges forward. Shuzenji expects another close-range attack, but the spear suddenly vanishes from Hiro's hands, reappearing as a red orb enveloping him. Shuzenji dodges a punch, but the attack grazes him. Hiro shouts for the energy to explode, and spikes of energy erupt from the red aura, blocking Shuzenji's escape. Shuzenji deflects the attack with a mantra, wondering if the spear is as poisonous as the dragon. A notification confirms his fear. The corrosive effect of Ares' blood has reduced his robe's defense by 50%. Hiro presses his advantage. Shuzenji is shocked when a projectile bursts from Hiro's back, realizing the attacks can come from anywhere on his body. Hiro unleashes a flurry of attacks, each punch tipped with a small energy spear. Shuzenji realizes he cannot read his moves. Every hit he takes destroys more of his equipment. Even with his karmic power suppressing the impact, Hiro is still overwhelmingly strong. He knows if he had not weakened Hiro with the curse, he would be dead already. He needs to create distance. He manages to do so with a palm strike. He immediately begins a mantra as Hiro cuts his hand, sneering that Shuzenji must be at his limit. He drips his blood onto the ground and tells Shuzenji that distance will not save him. Shuzenji finishes his chant, Onren. A holy symbol appears above Hiro, forcing him to his knees. The incantation weakens the effect of the poisoned dragon's blood. Hiro sneers, thinking Shuzenji is just trying to win from a distance, but the blood he spilled earlier erupts into sharp spikes. Sakuya screams a warning. Shuzenji narrowly avoids being impaled as the spikes only graze his hat. As he catches his breath, the goddess Athena appears and declares that interferers will be punished. Divine flames engulf Sakuya. Sora's mother rushes to heal Sakuya, but the fire has already reduced his life force by 15%. Hiro laughs and tells Shuzenji he would be dead if Sakuya had not stepped in. Shuzenji knows close combat is risky, but now his opponent controls blood arrows at range. With only 3 minutes of stamina left, he has no choice but to fight. Hiro tells him to stop wasting time, but Shuzenji begins another chant. The ranks of Arakan are the Heavenly Eye, Wisdom Eye, Dharma Eye, and Buddha Eye. With his own Wisdom Eye, Shuzenji knows he can win. He then opens his Dharma Eyes, ready to end the fight. Shuzenji's Dharma Eye grants him a massive boost in speed. He knows it will not last long and that he needs to find an opening quickly. He notices that Hiro's spear does not hold much divine power and he remembers the blood arrow from before. In that moment, he understands. Hiro thrusts the blood spear forward, but Shuzenji calmly catches it. He remarks that this blood spear is surprisingly simple and shatters it with a single movement. Hiro is in complete disbelief. Shurya and Daoju are stunned. Daoju wonders how he blocked the hair-thin blood, realizing his eyes seem to see through everything. Sakuya cheers, seeing that Shuzenji has found a countermeasure against Ares' Azura. Shuzenji holds the dark energy from the shattered spear. He muses that with this much evil energy accumulated in his body, evil thoughts are sure to arise. He declares that he will purify it all. Hiro screams that it does not matter if Shuzenji saw through the attack, because the blood is touched by his divine power and can be controlled freely. Daoju explains that the divine power in the blood is not uniform, and that since it is so thin it can pierce any defense. There is no escape. Hiro yells for Shuzenji to die, but the monk, with his Dharma Eye active, easily dodges the attack. Shuzenji chants, stating that all beings are covered in ignorance and bound by afflictions. Daoju warns Hiro to watch out for Shuzenji's eyes as they can see the movement of divine power. All of his attacks will be meaningless. As Gyro tries to interfere, Athena issues a warning, but Shuzenji stops him and says they should see his victory through. Hiro screams that he does not need their help, but suddenly he sees a huge sacred form appearing behind the monk. He curses the damn monk. Shuzenji recites a sutra that summons a spirit to overcome obstacles and grant peace. He thinks that this is the first sutra all monks learn. It is not weak, however. By embodying Fudo both his attack and defense are more than doubled. But the sutra takes 30 seconds to chant and requires perfect focus, making it a huge risk in front of an enemy. Hiro furiously tries to attack to disrupt the chant, but his attacks are easily blocked. Daoju calls Hiro an idiot, knowing that he should have tried to disrupt the sutra after Shuzenji was sealed. The monk is unfazed, knowing the surprise attacks are meaningless before his Dharma Eye. With only 15 seconds left, Hiro grows more desperate. Blood begins to pour from his own eyes. He is reaching his limit. Shuzenji's own eyes start to bleed, showing the strain of maintaining his focus. After a tense countdown from the sidelines, he completes his chant. The sutra's power erupts like flaming ice, and the sacred form behind him unleashes a devastating blow on Hiro. The attack connects, and Hiro is slammed to the ground. Shuzenji stands tall, glad that he finished the fight before the Dharma Eye reached its limit. Athena's voice booms, announcing victory for the allied guild in the first battle. Shuzenji Yukio is the winner. After a moment, Daoju heals Hiro and remarks that he needs to try harder. Suddenly, two spirits manifest beside him and berate him for losing in what they describe as Athena's hypocritical Colosseum. Hiro begins to apologize, but one of them shouts at him to be silent. It says it has a message from his father, which is that his father is disappointed in him. One spirit declares that Hiro will now have the honor of being executed by him, but the other spirit chimes in, saying its sword of Damocles also wants a piece of the action. They mercilessly attack Hiro from behind. From the sidelines, Sakuya watches in disbelief, shocked at how they treat their own Azura. The spirits tell Hiro to consider this his father's final mercy as they begin to fade away. Hiro, enraged, swears he will kill Shuzenji next time. But Shurya, now holding a massive scythe, steps forward and informs him that there will be no next time. He states that right now, they will all be burned alive by Hades' eternal hellfire. Sakuya volunteers to handle this fight. Sora's mother offers Sakuya an item. She warns him that he is up against a Reaper Azura whose power connects to the spirits. Sakuya takes it, knowing it might help. As he steps into the arena, his friends wish him luck. He thinks to himself that as a samurai, his best bet in a one-on-one fight is close combat. His plan involves closing the distance with a flash step, overwhelming his opponent with rapid strikes, then finding a weak point and ending it with a single hit. Athena's voice announces the start of the battle. Shurya immediately unleashes a horde of vengeful spirits. Sakuya charges through them, intending to use his flash step and analyze his opponent's moves, but when he strikes, the body he hits is just an illusion. A swarm of spirits appears from all directions. He cuts through them but finds himself hitting clone after clone. Shurya taunts him, saying his attacks are useless against someone without a physical form. He declares that Sakuya, a samurai who cannot even see his true enemy, is worthless. Sakuya tries to charge his sword with aura, but the spirits swarm him again. Daoju remarks that this is what a fight between an Azura and a regular human looks like. Hiro scoffs that Shuzenji just got lucky, but she retorts that it is rare for a samurai to become a guildmaster. She then glances at Sora's mother, nodding her calm demeanor for someone in her position, and suspects that they still have an ace up their sleeve. Back in the arena, Sakuya takes a new stance. Daoju recognizes it and warns Shurya to watch out. With incredible speed, Sakuya performs an 8-ship leap, instantly purifying all the spirits and appearing directly behind the real Shurya, ready to strike. When the sixth shelter was established, the military and players searched for monster nests together. They found a mine near the shelter that was swarming with monsters, which became their first exploration base. At first, things went smoothly as only small monsters appeared, but once they went deeper, everything changed. The types, numbers, and ranks of the monsters grew exponentially. It was a complete ecosystem. At its deepest point, a level 80 spider monster resided. At that time, humanity had no chance. It was then that Sakuya, whose last name is revealed to be Xiaoya, lured the monster away, allowing everyone else to escape. No one knows what happened in those next 3 days, but finally, the spider's pitiful scream echoed from the cave, and it began to collapse. Sakuya dashed through the falling rocks and returned safely. The skill he used was the eightfold leap, a terrifying technique that allows for 8 consecutive jumps, with each leap exponentially increasing his speed. Back in the arena, Sakuya dodges another of Shurya's attacks. He knows he has already used 3 of his 8 jumps just to evade the vengeful spirits. He uses his 4th jump, rocketing toward his opponent and landing a strike. Shurya is startled by Sakuya's ever-increasing speed. Sakuya unleashes his 5th, 6th, and 7th jumps in quick succession, cutting through spirit after spirit. He knows he must use his speed advantage to cut down Shurya before new spirits can be generated. He performs the 8th and final jump, closing the distance completely. He thinks that as long as he keeps up the pressure in close combat, he can win. He activates a new skill, Heroic Legacy. Daoju is impressed. She understands now how he has held the position of guild master for so long without being an Azura. His power alone is enough to rival the other guilds. Towers are a manifestation of human history and mythology. Gods represent the myths, and naturally heroes represent history. Inheriting a hero's legacy is like a fateful encounter. Shurya mocks Sakuya and asks if he really thinks he can win in close combat, that a mere mortal's weapon can never beat a reaper's scythe. Sakuya thinks the scythe is a terrifying weapon, but he knows that a human cannot handle such a divine artifact easily. If Shurya is forced to wield it like a normal weapon, it will create a massive opening. As Shurya swings his scythe, Sakuya exploits the opening and thrusts his sword forward. He taunts that it seems no god taught him how to use that weapon. He lands a direct hit, smugly thinking that he only planned to use his final leap to dodge. From the sidelines, Gyro celebrates, thinking it is over, but Sora's mother warns that it is not yet. Shurya just laughs. He says that the victorious expression of his opponent is really cracking him up. Sakuya is shocked that his attack did not land and wonders if Revenant Shade has no cooldown. Shurya reveals he can switch places with more than just a spirit body. He touches Sakuya's chest, leaving the mark of Hades. Sakuya realizes his mistake. His opponent transformed his own physical body into a spirit form, nullifying the attack. Shurya, now surrounded by a new horde of spirits, explains that if Sakuya gets marked 4 times, he will become his sole slave, and he will not be getting another chance. A mark appears on Sakuya where Shurya touched him, a Hades brand. When the brand reaches level 4, the bearer becomes a wraith of Hades. Sakuya realizes his dilemma. Getting close means getting marked, but staying back means being surrounded by specters. To make matters worse, his 8-ship leap is still on cooldown. Shurya acknowledges Sakuya's talent but dismisses him as just another nobody and attacks. He knows that in his spirit form he constantly drains mana and takes more damage from magic, but just like a demon soul, he is immune to physical attacks. Sakuya barely dodges a strike. Shurya compliments Sakuya's speed but still manages to land another touch. A second brand appears, Hades Mark II. Shurya laughs, taunting that running is futile. Once Sakuya is marked 4 times, his body will burn in hellfire and his soul will become Shurya's puppet. He lands a third strike, a third mark burns onto Sakuya's skin. Sakuya retaliates, but his attacks are still useless. Shurya deduces that Sakuya is trying to run out his mana to force him out of spirit form, but it will not work. He can maintain this form for 3 more minutes. And for Sakuya, he smirks, the next one will be the fourth mark. Sakuya prepares for a big attack. Shurya sees him charging his sword aura and thinks it is foolish to leave such an opening. He uses his Revenant Shade technique and appears behind him, ready to deal the final blow. As Sakuya calmly unsheathes his blade, Shurya is shocked as his attack is blocked. He had fallen for Sakuya's trap. The sword aura was physical and had no effect, just as Shurya had thought, but Sakuya had another plan. He pulls out the item his wife gave him, recalling her words that as a Reaper Azura, Shurya's power is tied to spirits. This item, a piece of paper soaked in sacred water, sun-dried and infused with a cleric's divine power, was made specifically to exorcise spirits. Daoju remarks that just as Shurya had countermeasures for a samurai, they had their own as well. Sakuya slashes through the shadow clones, but Shurya laughs and says it is too late because he has already been marked for the 4th time. The fires of hell envelop Sakuya. But as the flames rage, Sakuya stands his ground. He asks if Shurya really thought he would just stand there and become a wraith. He states that burning his flesh actually made him lighter, and he begins to cut down the shadows. Shurya is stunned. He cannot believe Sakuya still has the strength to fight and questions how he is still able to counter his spirit form. He realizes in a flash of panic that Sakuya's 8-fold leap is off cooldown. But it is too late. Sakuya closes the distance instantly, appearing behind him, striking again and again, but Shurya manages to swap places with his spirits, though Sakuya is still faster. Sakuya declares that before Shurya can turn him into a wraith, he will kill him. He says that if one hit will not do it, then he will keep hitting him until he is dead. He lands a final, decisive blow. Shurya coughs up blood and admits defeat. Sakuya says that victory is his, standing triumphant. Outside the arena, the Azura Mukai dispatches another of Sora's father's men and impatiently watches the fight, muttering for them to just come already or this will end on a boring note. We see Sora speeding across rooftops, heading for the Colosseum. Back inside, Gyro celebrates, thinking they have won, but Shuzenji senses that something is wrong. A dark energy far stronger than Hades is growing stronger. Suddenly, black lightning bursts from Shurya's defeated body. He pleads for one more chance. From a tear in spacetime, 2 skeletal hands emerge and pull open a portal. A massive skeletal being with a dark aura steps through. The being calls his brother pitiful. Sakuya cannot believe what he is seeing. The being grabs Shurya's head, which is still pleading for a second chance, and tells him that cheap tricks will not win battles. The skeletal figure declares that power is everything as it crushes his brother's skull, adding that their lives all end here. Sakuya wonders if this is Hades Azura's true form, while his companions stare in horror. Mukai, still watching from afar, smirks, thinking that things just got interesting. Hades reveals that the first person he killed after becoming an Azura was his own brother, and that he has lost count of how many he has killed since. He says that once they die, they will become his puppets, and Shurya's spirit rises to join a spectral army. Hades declares that their fate will be the same. He strikes Sakuya, and the mark of Hades appears once again on his chest. Sakuya is shocked. The mark should have disappeared with Shurya's defeat, and his 8-fold step is still on cooldown. As the spirits attack, a wave of nostalgia washes over him. He thinks it is just like back then. In a flashback, we see a younger Sakuya facing off against the giant spider monster, helpless and outmatched. He knew he could not fall until everyone had escaped. He desperately tries to get the monster's attention, knowing normal attacks are useless. He notices a sword stuck in the monster's head, left there by a previous attacker. That is its weak point. He successfully draws its attention but is quickly swatted aside. As the monster looms over him, he accepts his fate, glad that he could save at least a few people. He thinks that if only he had been stronger. Just as the spider is about to strike, a voice tells him not to give up. A figure appears and saves him. It was a narrow escape from death. He had met the legendary Karasutingu, a figure said to have taught martial arts to ancient warlords. That is when Sakuya realized it was not just monsters that came to this world. Legendary heroes had descended too. Sakuya is recovering after his battle with the spider monster, with the mysterious hero standing over him. Sakuya thanks him for the save and asks his name. The hero introduces himself as Karasutingu. Karasutingu explains that by the will of a fallen warrior, he has been searching for someone worthy to inherit the famed blade Kumajiri, also known as the Spider Cutter. He recounts how the spider monster he had once slain returned to life and ambushed him, leading to both of their mutual demise in their last battle. But when he saw Sakuya risking his life to protect strangers, he realized Sakuya was the key to breaking this deadlock. He offers Sakuya the chance to kill the spider and reclaim his friend's sword. Sakuya eagerly accepts. Karasutingu then began to train him personally. Thanks to this training, Sakuya mastered the heroic legacy, but he could not inherit the warrior's entire power, learning only 3 of the 6 techniques. Still, this was enough. Using the eightfold leap, Sakuya, with the help of Karasutingu, defeated the spider monster for good. Karasutingu then entrusted Sakuya with the blades, and Sakuya made a promise to find someone more worthy of the sword one day. Back in the present, Sakuya cuts through the spirits and resolves to borrow the blade's power once more. He thinks that if he dies here, he will never be able to keep his promise. He summons the legendary sword. A powerful white aura surrounds him, repelling the dark spirits. From the sidelines, Gyro wonders if that sword can truly defeat Hades. Daoju scoffs and says that a hero is still just a human, and that a mortal weapon cannot beat a god. For a moment, Hades seems to feel fear. He orders all his soldiers to stop Sakuya, but as they swarm him, the holy aura of the blade begins to suppress evil. A mage spirit casts a spell, but Sakuya parries it. He does not know how effective this power will be against a god of the underworld, but he knows that if he pours all of his mana into it, he can do this. An archer spirit manages to land a hit on his leg, but Sakuya is undeterred. Sakuya roars for the spider cutter to awaken. He unleashes a massive sword strike that disintegrates the surrounding spirits. Hades admits Sakuya is strong but is still no match for him and easily blocks the attack. Hades questions if a mere human hero's weapon can break through his defenses and vows to turn such foolish hope to ashes. But as Sakuya's blade clashes with his shield, a high-pitched sonic wave erupts, causing Hades, Hyro, and Daoju to clutch their ears in pain. The shield shatters. Sakuya explains that while the blade of the spider cutter can be blocked, the sonic waves it emits cannot. He closes in on Hades and states that the sword, true to its name, emits a roar-like wave that suppresses enemy movements. He knows this is his chance. But Hades sneers and calls Sakuya a foolish human for thinking sound waves could paralyze him. A status window reveals that due to a divine blessing, the Howlblade's effect has been reduced to just 10 seconds. Hades thinks that the moment someone is convinced they have won is when they are at their weakest. Sakuya knows this is his last chance. He has to be faster, but Hades is already regaining consciousness. Sakuya's companions are horrified, knowing he will not make it in time. Hades takes control, paralyzing Sakuya in midair and crushing him in his grip. The Hades brands activate one after another until they reach level 4. Hades declares that Sakuya should become his ghost. But suddenly, from the sidelines, Sakuya's wife, Jero, and Shuzenji unleash their power to help their friend. Just as they do, Athena appears before them and declares that no one is allowed to interfere in a sacred battle. Then she senses a new threat. A massive lightning bolt strikes down, shattering her barrier. Everyone is shocked. This is Zeus's lightning spear, a move only their boss Mukai should be able to control. High above, Sora hovers, having finally arrived. With the barrier down, Sakuya's allies rush to protect him. His mother cries out that they are counting on him. Sora unleashes a blast of lightning directly at Hades, shattering a part of his skull. As Hades reels in pain, he tightens his grip on Sakuya and boasts that Sora's father is now his puppet. But using a platform created by Gyro's earth magic, Sora launches himself forward, severing the arm holding his father. He catches his father and declares that as long as he is here, he will not let anyone die. Sora's father groans aloud, an expression of immense pain on his face. Sora stands over him, his own face a mask of concern, and tells him that he did well to hold out for so long. Sora then thinks to himself and analyzes the situation. This large skeleton is nothing special. He identifies the real threat as Mukai Licht, the guy outside the barrier firing off lightning bolts. Sora concludes that among all the beings he has met since leaving the abyss, Mukai is the strongest. The memory of their first clash is still fresh. He recalls how Mukai had called out his full name, Sora Mukujima. The man then pierced Sora right through the chest with his lightning spear, but it had no effect at all. Sora still wonders why the lightning did not hurt him in the slightest, and that was not even the most surprising part. He states that it is very strange that he managed to handle Mukai's power so easily. It just does not make any sense. Because of that mysterious immunity, he had successfully shattered Athena's shield. While he moved his father over to his mother and his allies, he decides that now is not the time to think about it, and that he must eliminate his enemies first. High above the chaos, Mukai is suspended in the air, looking down at them. A serpent-like figure seems to shimmer behind him as he looks down with snake-like eyes. He thinks to himself that this is interesting. Suddenly, Hyro lets out a loud, crazed laugh. He declares that if the barrier is gone, it means they no longer have to follow those damn rules. He calls Shuzenji a bald monk and tells him it is time for another round as he furiously attacks him with a punch. Daoju looks up at Mukai, thinking that it is very strange that their boss is not stopping Hiro's wild rampage. She wonders aloud if he wants them to use this opportunity to gauge the new kid's true strength. She then adds that in that case she cannot just stand there either. She summons her golden shield and then yells at Iwagaya, demanding to know how long he plans to sit back and play the spectator. He simply replies for her to worry about herself. He adds that an assassin only shows their presence when the timing is perfect. We see that his power allows him to become completely invisible. Daoju then tells Shurya, who has only lost an arm, that he must fight with them. He screams back that she does not have to tell him that, and that nobody escapes death. He unleashes a horde of evil spirits directly towards Sora's family. Sora calls Gyro an old man and tells him that he is leaving his father and the others to him. Gyro shouts back that it is fine and punches the ground. He creates a protective shield of earth, completely enclosing himself inside with Sora's parents. As the evil spirits swarm their position, Sora thinks to himself that now he can finally go all out. He declares that he will definitely kill everyone who laid a single hand on them. Before Shuzenji can even fully react, Sora appears in a flash directly above both him and Hiro, his sights firmly set on his first target. With unbelievable speed, he crashes down on Hiro. Hiro desperately tries to protect himself by summoning teeth-like weapons from his hands. But the teeth instantly shatter on impact, and he is sent flying away with a single devastating blow. Daoju, watching the scene, curses him and calls him an idiot, stunned that he did not even resist a single hit. Sora asks Shuzenji to please take care of those spirits. The monk immediately obeys and starts his prayer, Silent Dharma Curse Onrin. With his powerful magic, he manages to stop all the evil spirits in their tracks. Daoju sees that Shurya's spirit is completely losing to the monk one-sidedly. She wonders if it is just a matter of a bad compatibility matchup. She then moves against Sora and throws her Valkyrie shield at him. Sora manages to stop it with only one hand. Daoju grits her teeth and says that she does not want to fight such a monster but has no other choice. She summons a sword and points it at Sora, who manages to dodge and grab her by the wrist. Then with the Valkyrie shield, he hits her with a hard blow, making her release her grip on her sword. And then, still holding the shield, he starts hitting her in the face with 2-3 more blows until she is bleeding from her nose. She stumbles back and wonders why the boss has still not moved yet. From his position above, Mukai Licht finally comments, calling them pathetic trash. While he prepares his lightning strike with a giant bow, he says that they have already forgotten that they are under the curse of frailty. With a vicious smile, he announces that he is dedicating this strike to Mukijima's wife. Shuzenji, who is protecting Sora's parents, notices the powerful divine energy waves gathering and says that he is targeting Yoi. He says that he knows it is reckless but that he has no other way. While he removes the bandage from his eyes and starts his prayer, he declares that his Dharma eye is now open. He says that he will activate the Dharma form in the shortest time possible. Mukai calls him a fool and tells him that he must not think he would be allowed to finish his chanting like Hiro was. Shuzenji knows it is trouble. Mukai, with a disgusted look, screams that they are insects and should die, and he launches the lightning with the giant bow straight toward the stone shield that Gyro had created, where Sora's parents are hiding. The lightning strikes the earth barrier directly, causing it to explode and utterly disintegrate. Sora can do nothing but stare in absolute disbelief. From the settling dust and rubble, he turns and sees a single hand emerging, recognizing it as his mother's. He is completely shocked. He screams for his mom and immediately begins to rush toward her location. Just then, he notices some kind of projectile coming right for him. He whirls around, charges a powerful attack of his own, and yells for them not to get in his way. He throws a punch and manages to stop the incoming projectile cold. Sora notices with surprise that the impact of the shield suddenly got stronger. Daoju appears and charges up a powerful punch as she sarcastically asks if he is feeling refreshed after that hit. Because of Sora's punch, her right eye has been destroyed, and now it shines with a golden light. A text box then appears, declaring that the curse of frailty has been lifted, returning her from level 72 to level 106. This change is a direct result of Sora's mother being severely injured or possibly killed by Mukai's devastating attack. Daoju throws her punch, but Sora manages to catch it with just one hand. He thinks about her immense power and asks himself why she will not budge. Daoju tells him that since the curse of frailty that was cast by his mother is vanishing, it can only mean one thing: she is dead. Sora roars at her to shut up as he violently throws her away and continues heading toward his mother. Daoju says that this is perfect because he has now lost the will to fight. She summons a spear made of golden mana and declares that weak-willed humans like him are her favorite kind of prey. She throws the spear and it hits Sora directly, piercing straight through him. The spear then begins to wrap around him, and Daoju exclaims that she has got him. However, Sora does not stop moving, and a dark purple aura begins to surround him. Daoju is amazed, wondering why he did not sustain any damage. She activates her scan eye ability and sees Sora's energy flow. What she sees is impossible. She realizes that he is carrying a divine power greater than the deities themselves. Moreover, she sees that it is as if there is a black hole inside his body. Everything that touches his divine power gets sucked in and turned into his own strength. She wonders aloud what in the hell that monster is. She then adds that he still cannot control it freely, making him no different from a gorilla with only raw strength right now. She summons her spear and shield again, thinking that it is no wonder the boss ordered them to kill him. He absolutely cannot be allowed to live. Besides the shield and spear, golden wings also appear behind her. A text box which reads Sacred Oath, physical attack and defense plus 25% appears. She calls out to Shurya and Iwagaya and tells them that they are killing Sora here and now. Shurya declares that since the curse is gone, he can finally summon his weapon. He then attacks Sora, and from behind, Iwagaya also joins in. They both know they need to finish him off before he develops that power, because if he ever learns to master it, he will surpass even the gods themselves. Sora finds himself surrounded with Shurya to his right, Iwagaya to his left, and Daoju from behind, all three with their special weapons ready to strike. When everything seems finished, his mother's hand suddenly rises. The others exclaim that the woman is still alive. She summons soul chains that start wrapping around the three Azura, sealing their movements. She thinks only of Sora before she loses consciousness. Sora manages to catch her hand just in time. The three attackers can only watch, immobilized by the chains. They yell in frustration that they cannot even pin him down. With a single punch, Sora throws away all the debris that was on top of his parents. Tears begin to fall from his eyes. He puts his hands in his hair in complete desperation and says that this cannot be happening. He sees Gyro and his father injured, but his mother is in the worst shape, with half her body missing from Mukai's targeted attack. In utter desperation, Sora asks what he should do. His mother raises her hand and caresses his face, telling Sora that this is enough. He grabs her hand and while crying tells her he will not accept this. She responds by telling him not to worry about them and that he needs to run. Then she tells him that from here on he must walk his own path and that they will always be watching over him. The three Azura have freed themselves from the chains and are now behind Sora. They say that this is their chance. Iwagaya attacks him, and while he is about to hit him with his dagger, Sora turns around, completely furious, and throws a punch at the dagger, completely destroying it. Iwagaya is in utter shock and says that his knife that was forged from divine power just broke. He then uses his technique to escape behind Daoju. She is surprised and says that he has got to be kidding because he shattered a divine knife with one hit from his bare fist. While preparing to attack, she says they must not face him head-on. Sora arrives, filled with fury, and throws a punch, but she blocks with her shield. The shield cracks from the sheer impact of the blow. Sora grabs the top part of the shield and it begins to crack even more. He furiously screams that he will tear them all apart. Daoju, in complete shock, thinks to herself that he absorbed their divine power and grew even stronger. Sora grabs her by the neck and throws her aside like a ragdoll. She yells at her comrades not to use their powers. Sora, filled with a blinding rage, charges towards them. Daoju knows she cannot possibly dodge him because he is simply too fast. He smashes his fist straight into her face. Iwagaya, watching the chaos unfold, thinks about who this monster is. He turns his attention and notices Sora is now heading towards him. Despite being invisible, Sora locks onto his position and closes the distance instantly, his fist already cocked back. Iwagaya thinks that Sora noticed him and that it is impossible. He realizes that Sora is not just sucking up his divine power, but that he even saw right through his stealth, which is his specialty move. Iwagaya crosses his arms to block the incoming blow. Suddenly, the scene shifts. Shurya has taken advantage of the distraction and is approaching Sora's dying mother. He says that they may be having fun brawling, but he asks if they are not forgetting something. He points out that Sora's mother is on the brink of death, and that he just left her there so he could fight, calling him a disgrace of a son. But Shuzenji appears between them and declares that he will not let Shurya get away with that. Shurya sneers and calls Shuzenji a pathetic hero before he hits Shuzenji full-on with his scythe. Sora leaves Iwagaya alone and immediately goes to Shuzenji's side. Iwagaya seizes the opportunity and teams up with Shurya. Iwagaya thinks that Sora fell for it. Shurya then charges his attack, Death Flame, and shoots it directly towards Sora's mother. Sora manages to get there just in time, putting himself in front of her and taking the full force of Shurya's blow. Shurya taunts him and asks if he blocked that. He calls him a brat and says that Sora can absorb divine power, so he should show him just how much he can take. He charges up another Death Flame attack. Daoju screams, calling him an idiot for giving him more power. Daoju thinks that neither divine power nor close combat works. Then she exclaims that she has an idea. Sora throws a punch at Shurya and blocks it. Suddenly, pieces of stone begin to hit Sora's mother. It is Daoju throwing them at her. She yells that if divine power cannot hurt him, then she will wrap it around stone. At full speed, these rocks will hit harder than bullets. She taunts that even if she cannot kill Sora, she can still kill his dying mother and that she would like to see him stop that. Sora shouts in frustration as he tries to block some of the stones. Others hit him full on and still others get through, hitting his mother. Daoju laughs, telling him to keep burning himself out like that. She then yells to the others that they will all attack now and that Sora Mukujima should die. They all throw rocks at once. Sora desperately tries to block all of them, with some hitting him while others hit his mother. His mother is crying, telling him it is okay and that he does not have to. But Sora interrupts her and says no, that he will defeat them. He adds that if he cannot even protect his own family, then there is no point in living. From above, Mukai draws his massive bow and remarks on their touching familial love that makes him sick. He summons a weapon and says so what if he can absorb divine power? This pointless fight ends now. He has summoned Atropos' shears. He tells them to behold the relic of one of the three goddesses, the one who cuts the threads of fate itself. He says it can cut through any type of divine power. He forms an arrow with the shears and declares that Sora's fate ends here. Shuzenji senses the divine pressure and knows this is bad, telling Sora that he must run. But Iwagaya appears and points a knife at his neck, asking if Shuzenji is sure he has the time to be worrying about someone else. Sora feels the divine power and thinks about what in the hell that is. He turns to his mother in desperation, and she gives him an amulet, telling him to always remember that they love him. Mukai shoots the attack and an enormous bolt of lightning hits them, creating a massive crater. The system text appears, which says that the offering to Zeus has been completed and that the god is satisfied. Mukai comes down and joins the others. Daoju asks him if he really died. Mukai answers that Zeus accepted his offering and that is all that matters, their concern now lies somewhere else. He adds that their actions here will be seen as a declaration of war against the other guilds and tells them to get ready. The scene shifts to a dark cave. Someone has fallen into the water. It is Sora. You can see a sword and the figure of a man. Sora is being dragged through a tunnel by a blonde boy with a large sword. Sora opens his eyes and thinks about whether he is alive and where he is. He wonders where his mom and dad are. He recalls the sight of his wounded mother and thinks that she cannot be gone. His eyes open wide and he screams for his mom and dad. The blonde boy says that Sora has finally come to. As Sora presses a hand to his forehead and says that he told them he would protect them, the boy snaps that a grown man like him should not be crying and that he looks pathetic. Sora turns to him and asks who he is. When the blonde boy remains silent, Sora presses on and asks if he is the one who saved him, if he knows where his parents are, and if they are still alive. The blonde boy replies that Sora is crazy weak for someone who is also chosen by the deities, and tells him to accept his reality. His parents died for him. He then grabs Sora's hand and says to follow him. Sora refuses and twists away, shouting that he is going back and for the boy to let go of him. He throws a punch, but the blonde boy easily blocks it. Sora realizes that he cannot muster any of his strength. The blonde boy tells him to stop whining so loudly and lands a blow to his chest that sends him to the ground. He asks Sora if this is how he acts towards the person who saved his life, and states that if he can save him, he can also kill him. Sora lies there helpless. The blonde boy continues, explaining that Sora's link to divine power was severed by Atropos' shears, and that without that protection, he is no different from the common man. He hefts his massive sword and growls, asking if the brat gets that. He then plants the blade into the ground before them and says that the person Sora is about to meet can restore his body's link with his divine power and can also teach him how to control it properly. He asks if Sora is coming with him or not. He extends a hand. Sora clenches his fist, takes the blonde's hand, and agrees that he is coming with him. The blonde boy warns him not to think of him as a good guy and tells him that from here on out they are enemies, so Sora should keep his guard up. Suddenly, someone calls out for them to please wait. The blonde boy asks who is there. Shuzenji appears and declares that he cannot let his late friend's child go with him until he reveals that person's identity. Sora is relieved at the sight of Shuzenji. Shuzenji apologizes for not being able to protect his parents. He explains that being thrown underground by the god's power shockwave is what saved his life, and that as long as he is still breathing, he will see through the promise he made to Sora's parents. He warns the blonde boy that if he is planning to use Sora's divine power for something shady, he will not forgive him. The blonde scoffs and calls him a half-dead old man with big words. Shuzenji admits that he is right and that he is pathetic for clinging to life because he feared death. He states that he has no excuses, but he peels the bandage from his eyes, saying that if he does not keep his word to Sora's parents, he will not be able to face them in the afterlife. The blonde boy waves him off, tells him to stop talking tough, and says to let the brat decide for himself. Sora tells Shuzenji that he wants to take down the enemy, but that right now he has nothing. He decides that if this chance gets him his revenge, he does not care if he is being used, as he will take it. Shuzenji is surprised but says that he understands, and that if that is his choice, he will not stop him. He tells him to at least take this and hands Sora a sword. He says that it is something his parents left behind for him. Sora studies the sword and thinks that he knows this feeling. It is his mom and dad's power, and that is not all. Shuzenji asks if he sees it too and explains that this weapon, passed down through generations of heroes, records the memories of those who wield it. He adds that to access more, Sora will need divine power, so it will not work in his current state. Sora mutters about using this sword himself, and then thinks that he would need the power of foresight. Shuzenji explains that Yoi entrusted it to him and said Sora would be able to use it one day, and tells him to keep it safe. The blonde boy asks if they are done yet. Sora replies that they are. Sora thinks about why it feels like he has been thrown from one twisted tower to another. He escaped one only to run into his parents just to part ways again. He wonders where he is headed and what is waiting for him at the end of all this. We see a hooded man sitting on a throne. As he turns his gaze towards Sora, his left eye flares to life. Sora and Shuzenji are led by the blonde boy. Shuzenji marvels that he never imagined there would be such a massive space hidden just underneath Shelter 6. The blonde boy turns and asks why in the hell Shuzenji is tagging along. Shuzenji calmly replies that it is to protect the son of the departed, of course. The blonde boy scoffs at him and states that the gods could easily kill someone like Shuzenji if they wanted to. He questions how Shuzenji can still say he can protect Sora Mukujima. Shuzenji honestly admits that he cannot. When asked how he plans on protecting him then, Shuzenji replies with a single phrase, "with my life." He continues and says that Yoi always said that if he followed the plan, the best outcome would be guaranteed, but then asks him to look how that ended. He declares that he is done with prophecies and that the only thing he puts his faith in now is his own life. Sora is touched by Shuzenji's conviction. The blonde boy reluctantly agrees and tells Shuzenji to stay the hell out of it when the time comes to face the god. As they walk, Sora wonders about the best outcome and questions if him surviving was truly the best ending for his mom. He asks the blonde if this so-called god trapped in the cave actually wields divine power, or if they are just another fraud. The blonde boy answers that they will see soon enough because once Sora witnesses their presence, every doubt he has will disappear. Sora asks what god they are supposed to be, but the boy says that it is not a name to just toss around and that they have arrived. They stand before a massive gate. Sora says that it is huge. The blonde boy places his right palm over his left hand and states that with this flame in his hand, he will stand before the god. The gate begins to open. The boy tells Sora to enter but instructs Shuzenji to wait there as the god has not granted him permission. Shuzenji warns Sora to be careful. He says that the divine power within Sora is abnormal and that the god may try to prey on it. Sora understands. The blonde boy tells him to go on because the god of deception and flames is waiting for him. Sora thinks about the deception and flames part. Sora is resolved that it does not matter what kind of god it is. Whether they want to recruit or use him, he will make sure that he is the one holding the reins. He walks down a long staircase as an overwhelming wave of divine power washes over him. The god sits upon a throne at the bottom. Sora thinks about how he is a giant and that with the themes of deception and fire, just as he thought, it has to be the Norse god Loki. He notes that Loki looks like he is already decaying. Loki's voice booms that he has finally arrived. He tells Sora that to face him without trembling means that Sora is clearly no ordinary human. He then asks if Sora craves vengeance for his fallen kin. Sora confirms that is the only reason he is here. Loki explains that Sora's link to divine power is bound by his relic, and that fixing it will require a heavy price. Sora replies that if Loki can repair his divine power, he will give up anything. He then asks if that is the line that Loki wanted to hear, God of Deception. When Loki remains silent, Sora presses, asking if his everything is still not enough. Sora declares that what he wants is not just divine power. He wants absolute strength enough to crush all his enemies and asks if Loki can give him that. Loki snarls and tells Sora not to get cocky, questioning how Sora dares to run his mouth like that to a god. He lifts Sora with magic and clamps him inside a giant hand. Sora continues, stating that Loki dragged him here through his follower because Loki wanted something from him. He then says to let him guess. He speculates that Loki wants to drain his divine power and use it to revive that dried-up husk he calls a body. Loki furiously shouts that he is an insolent wretch and squeezes, causing Sora to cry out in pain. Sora asks if he hit the mark, then tells Loki to just kill him already and take his power if he can. Loki growls that Sora talks big. Sora presses on and asks if that is something Loki cannot do. Loki releases his grip and admits that it is right and that Sora's power may be Norse, but he cannot steal it. Sora replies that this makes them equals then and calls him the god of deception. He extends his hand and thinks to himself that he knew it, and that the power he absorbed in that tower back then was Norse. But if even Loki, the second highest ranking Norse god himself, cannot rip it out of him, then that means he has no choice but to treat some random nobody like Sora as his partner. Loki points a single finger at him and states that Sora has guts for a mere mortal. Sora says that he will take that as a yes to working together. Loki warns him to remember that anyone who has ever disrespected him in myth did not exactly live to brag about it. Sora shoots back that his empty threats ruin the sharp, cunning image the myths give him. Loki says that Sora is a pain as he starts coughing. He states that it is fine because he does not have much time left in this state anyway, so they will keep it short. Sora notices that Loki really is weakened. Without divine power, Loki is basically just a shell. He thinks that if they are teaming up, he should show some good faith too. He asks the deceitful god what his play is. Loki tells him that he is going back into the tower. Sora remembers his time there and says, back into the abyss. Loki explains that there are 16 towers on this planet, each sealing the power of a different god. The Norse towers, besides his, have already been opened, but none of the others have awakened. He says that they cannot let outsiders claim what belongs to them. Sora asks then why the Norse gods are not waking up. Loki furiously snarls that it is because they were betrayed. He tells Sora that he will explain later and that what Sora needs to know now is that the Greek gods are their common enemy. He reminds Sora that he wants overwhelming power to crush his enemies, and that he will give it to him, even giving him the luxury of choosing. He explains the first option is to consume the flames of the giant Surtur, which will refine Sora's power but will burn him to ash if he ever runs out of power to feed it. The second option is to plant the seed of Yggdrasil inside his body, which will turn him into the ultimate vessel but will take ages to grow. Sora thinks to himself that Surtur's fire eats at him like a parasite and that the World Tree seed takes forever to show results. Loki says there is also a third option, fuse them both. The World Tree can grow faster by feeding on the flame and the flames can burn its branches instead of his flesh. But he warns, at the end of that path lies doom. Ragnarok itself will come to crush him, and a moment's loss of control will reduce him to cinders. He then asks Sora what his choice is. Sora replies that it is as if he ever meant to let him choose and that obviously he is taking both. Loki laughs loudly and calls that the spirit. Sora takes both powers and he thinks that his whole body feels like it is on fire. A symbol of flame appears in one hand and the seed of Yggdrasil in the other. Loki notes that the two opposing forces are beginning to fuse and wonders. Who would have thought that the last hope of the Norse gods would rest in the hands of a short-lived mortal? The scene cuts to a ruined city. A copy of Sora, a revenant, notes that his divine power is being stolen and declares that he cannot let anyone reach the Norse tower. From one side, Mukai Licht arrives with his group. From the other, Mai advances with her soldiers. Mukai summons his power and says that this makes 17 towers now. He then declares that they will be the ones to claim it. Loki stands over Sora's unconscious body, holding both the essence of Surtur's flame and the seed of Yggdrasil. Both of the raw divine powers begin to clash violently within his subconscious. Watching from outside the cavern door, the blonde boy and Shuzenji observe the scene with concern. The blonde boy thinks that the other boy is an idiot and questions if he is seriously trying to fuse two opposing forces inside of his body. Shuzenji urges Sora to hang in there and calls out his name in encouragement. Inside his mind, Sora's eyes glow with two different colors, one red and one green. Sora finds himself transported to a strange, ethereal place. He asks aloud where he is and then wonders if he is inside his own conscious space. He sees a massive tree that is so huge it seems to stretch into an endless sky, and he asks if this is the World Tree's seed that was just planted inside him. He turns and finds a wooden man sitting and reading a book that is equally enormous. Sora wonders who this figure is. He sees that the wooden man is looking at him. The wooden man addresses him as Young One and says that within Sora's chaotic divine power he can see his past. He explains that Sora's mind is nothing but scorched earth, burned to ruin by flames of rage. The messenger continues and states that as Yggdrasil's messenger, he does not want to witness another tragedy where a child loses his parents. He offers to help turn this wasteland back into living, fertile land. Sora replies that he appreciates the offer, but he assumes that it comes at a cost. The messenger of Yggdrasil closes his book and tells Sora that win-win is the word he is looking for. He rises to his feet and instructs Sora to choose him as his overseer. Sora repeats the word overseer, just as another voice warns him not to let the messenger fool him. A spinning axe suddenly appears and severs the messenger's head. The attacker is revealed to be a being made of pure fire in the shape of a female. She accuses the messenger, saying that he just wants to make Sora a slave of Yggdrasil and use him to turn the mortal world into nothing more than fertilizer for the World Tree. Meanwhile, Yggdrasil's messenger regenerates his head and retorts that her demand is an even taller order. He explains that the flames of the giant Surtur burn all things to ash. Surtur's flame does not take this quietly. She steps forward and snaps back, asking him if he cannot see this kid's mind. She tells him that other than his rotten tree stump, everything has already been burned away. The messenger of Yggdrasil replies then, telling the human that the choice is his to make, but that before that he must read this carefully. He opens his book again, tears out a single page, and hands it to Sora. Sora takes the page and reads its title, Azura's Notebook. It explains that to become an Azura as a mortal, there are 3 steps one must follow. First of all, you must choose an overseer to represent the will of the gods, which makes you an Azura candidate. Second, you must descend into the abyss and fight the other candidates. And third, you must be the last man standing to become an Azura, the official proxy of the tower's god. By doing so, you will gain the god's weapon and the authority to control the tower itself. It further explains that the overseer always watches their Azura, and if the Azura insults their god, they can punish them or take back the divine power. The divine weapon allows the Azura to wield their god's own strength in battle. Surtur's flame lashes out in fury at Yggdrasil, yelling that he is a damned coward and that she should have burned him to cinders back then. Sora thinks to himself that now he has Surtur's flame and Yggdrasil himself fighting over who gets to be his overseer. Yggdrasil's messenger replies that such a thing is beyond his capabilities. Sora thinks about the fire that brings Ragnarok versus the roots of creation in Norse mythology, and to think that these two entities are competing over him is unbelievable. He knows that any normal human would have passed out by now just from the pressure. The two turn their attention back to Sora and demand to know which one of them he will choose. Sora finally snaps and tells them that they have it twisted. He yells that they are acting like he should be grateful for this gift that they are dangling in front of him. His hair grows long as his form begins to shift into that of a monster. He snarls that no matter which one he picks, he will just end up being their puppet, right? A moment ago the two seemed like giants, but now they are tiny compared to Sora's new form. Sora roars that he is wrong and that they will be his puppets. The two deities fail to understand what is happening. Sora seizes them both with his hands and tells them that their powers are already in his hands, so they should drop the god act. Surtur's flame pleads for him to let her go, but Sora swallows her in one bite. He then devours Yggdrasil's messenger as well. Inside his eye, the reflection of the world tree can be seen, and Sora declares that from now on, gods are nothing but food for him. Back in the real world, Loki asks Sora which one he chose. He then thinks to himself that it does not matter. Whoever's Azura Sora becomes, he is already caught in his trap. Sora looks at his hand and tells Loki to look and see for himself, showing a symbol now etched into his right hand. He then gets up and says that he is out. Loki, staring at the mark on Sora's hand, exclaims about what it is. It is neither Surtur's flame nor Yggdrasil. He says that he has never seen a mark like that before and then asks himself not to tell him that he fused them both inside his body, that he says is impossible. From elsewhere, a system message appears to all players. It says that the first Azura candidate of the 17th tower has appeared. It reads Tower 17, Ruin and Rebirth. The 9 intertwined worlds unlock for early access. Both Mukai and Mai are shocked by the message. Mukai thinks that someone is already ahead of them. Mai, meanwhile, wonders if it was those Tigers Roar bastards pulling strings behind the scenes. They both start to run, shouting for their forces to move, that they are breaking through.